It's not written. There it is.
Oh, do we have this one? What do your games look like?
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
What is going on here?
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Smith Radio, along with your host, Brian Smith, and
Kerry Smith.
giving you all the late breaking news of the weekend, the breaking news of last week you didn't hear, in case
And
you
breaking news during the show.
So in case you live in Afghanistan with the Taliban in the mountains.
They do have Wi-Fi, though. So, just
and,
saying.
And cell towers.
I'm sure.
Right. So
Thanks to the hardworking men and women
of America. Today is October 18th, 2015, and we are slated for a lot of stuff today.
All right. So every week our producer hands me a stack, and I'm going to tell you right now, it gets bigger and bigger every week. This week, unless we gloss over everything,
is this the...
I don't think we're going to get through everything. So we're going to have to prioritize our headlines this week.
Well, this is something that I want to bring up that Carrie and I try to breaking news during the week that nobody seemed to care about or cover whatsoever. It was a story that Carrie made into a story.
Oh, I mean, I covered it.
He was live on the scene.
Right.
He had to keep going so as not to get blowed up.
I believe
jihadist.
I believe I witnessed a dry run terrorist attack, but when you see a dry run happen in front of you, you can't assume it's a dry run. You have to, start to think about whether or not you're going to survive it, and if something goes down, how are you going to handle it?
Right.
And so it was on a very, very heavily traveled bridge over the Ohio River. And so I was just thinking, please make it to the other end of this thing and get off this bridge.
Well, let's talk about the Ben Spence Bridge at first. It's a double-decker, steel, rusted...
No, it's not steel anymore.
Right. It's held together by rust.
No. It used to be rust.
Oh, okay.
Now what's left is the shell, which is made out of paint.
Okay.
Because the rust has turned into dust and come out like an hourglass. Yeah. So so now the whole thing is made out of paint chips.
Okay. And so they decided to go ahead, because traffic was so heavy on it, to put a second deck on it. The bridge was never meant for both decks. It wasn't meant for all this traffic. It was never designed to hold all the traffic that goes across it every day.
Well, back when it was built, they certainly would not have predicted. Well, I mean, they could have predicted the amount of traffic today as opposed to back then. I think what's actually helping the bridge to survive is probably that back when it was built, your average car was about 10,000 pounds, whereas today your car is probably
built in
like 20% of that.
Built in 1960.
60. Okay. Could you close your eyes and think of the size of the fins on the cars that were driving around?
So maybe there was more steel.
Yeah.
So maybe they did build the bridge a little tougher.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, the 59 Cadillac.
Right.
If you go fast enough, you can actually get a little bit airborne with the wings on that thing.
So when you're going down the freeway at 90 in one of those caddies, you really are floating on air, and it feels great. You don't feel a bump in the road.
That's how they were able to advertise that it feels like you're floating on air. Because you do.
So anywho, what did you see?
Well, I travel that bridge twice a week minimum because of taking the kids to practice. You got to cross the river. And it's always in rush hour because that's what time their practice starts.
Right.
So Same thing, really congested, kind of stop and go traffic. But I noticed early on that it was worse than usual, and which kind of indicates probably an accident. Whereas if there were, let me tell you how congested it is. When there's no accident whatsoever, you're going to have some dramatic slowing, regardless. If there is an accident, you're going to be stopped for extended periods.
Oh, okay, sorry about this. Just to add to that, breaking news on the Brent Spence Bridge. It is one of 15 major interstate bridges in the country labeled by the federal government as, quote, functionally obsolete for failure to meet safety.
What, are we not driving cars?
Laws.
Wait a minute. Functionally obsolete. Do you know what that means? That is literally some Democrat was like, let's come up with some. It's got to be the most hyperbolous language ever. Because think about it. When you call something functionally obsolete and you're talking about a bridge, you're literally saying we don't drive cars anymore.
It's ranked number 7 amongst highest crashes.
Oh, I could see that. Do you know I have a buddy that was in the crash on the upper deck and landed on the lower deck?
You shut up.
It was just this past summer. Yeah, it just happened. I think it was in the spring. And
he lived.
Well, he's not the one that went over, but he was involved in the crash.
Okay.
And I would have never known, but I'm sitting here watching the news, and there he was being interviewed.
He's like, yeah, man, I saw it. She hit the lower deck.
So it was a multi-car crash, and the one flew over. Now, here's the thing.
One flew over.
Only a little part of the end and a little part of the beginning are situated to where if you fall off the one, you have a 50-50 shot, depending on which side you fall on.
At the beginning of the bridge.
To land, beginning and end.
Okay.
To land on the deck below, which is only maybe, 20-foot drop.
Because if you're actually on the bridge,
you're going into the
sheer
river.
To the water.
Oh, yeah.
Straight to, okay.
Yeah, there is no safety cage net thing like they have on the USS Nimitz. And you could jump off, and there's a net.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so I think they do that because you could actually... Well, if there's a plane wreck. I'm not talking about the Brent Spence. I'm talking about the aircraft carrier. If there's a plane wreck, you could just jump off into the safety net.
Oh. So,
you could see it.
So when they're playing football on the Navy aircraft carriers, that ball's not going to go into the water.
If it's rolling, probably not. But if you throw it, yeah, it's going off.
Okay.
It's only a little tiny bit. You could probably clear... Now, I don't want anybody to get any wrong ideas. I was not on the aircraft carrier, so we might have to have somebody call in and let me know.
Oh, speaking about the call-in number.
Oh, yeah.
Before we get to the action on the Brent Spence Bridge. If you're listening to the show live tonight, this is Sunday, 5 p.m. That's when we start. 8 o'clock is when we shut it down. Call in live, 772-49-SMITH, S-M-Y-T-H. So if you feel like you have something to add to this or you know anything about this breaking news on the Brent Spence Bridge.
I told you I have an update on it, so we can talk about that.
772-49-SMITH.
It's not fully update, but it's update as best we can.
Well, I talked to one of our loyal listeners, bounced off some ideas, and one of our very high information listeners has got
we have a high information listener?
Oh, yeah. He's got a lot to say.
Because you know that this whole idea of podcasting, broadcasting,
more low information.
We're trying to educate the low information vote.
Well, but the thing is we'll attract like-minded folks at first, and then you out there in Radio Land, you'll turn your friends onto it eventually, slowly but surely, and we'll wind up getting everybody.
Well, we need all you guys out there to tell all your low information voters that friends and relatives, you want to go ahead and listen to this to help you out a little bit.
All right, so what happened on the bridge?
All right, so I'm in bad traffic, and there's no way around the bridge. You got to go across the bridge. So I'm just hoping for the best, and all of a sudden there's this part right before you're actually on the bridge that's like a funnel.
Multiple lanes merge from different places.
A whole bunch of lanes come from both sides of the main 75 South, I-75 South. Whole bunch of entrance ramps all at once. Well, I noticed as I'm coming up and people are all trying to get on that I see a bunch of cars in front of me trying to merge into one lane. And I thought, why are they all getting over? And I almost jerked it over into the other lane because they were leaving it open.
Oh, so you were going to try and jerk into the fast lane.
Yeah, because I thought, all these guys want to get over. I'll let them over, and then I'll go around them.
Right.
And as soon as I was about to do that, that's where I saw a semi with its hazard lights on, and I thought, oh, there's a wreck right there. And I thought I was approaching a wreck, with a semi and maybe smaller vehicle. I could only see the semi. He actually did have those little triangle reflectors, the orange reflectors, that a semi driver would put behind his truck to alert people that he's parked.
So it was a big semi.
It was the biggest. I mean, it wasn't like a double. It was the biggest semi you've ever seen in your life. Brian is trying so hard not to just shoot milk out of his nose right now.
And wherever.
Right. So, yeah, right. So it was the biggest you could imagine. And it was in the fast lane. And I thought, well, it has to be a wreck. And then when I didn't really notice any other vehicles, and I thought I saw a figure walking around that, what is a busted tire? Why is he in the fast lane? I mean, we're approaching slow, by the way, really slow. And so I'm like looking to see if I could see what the problem is with this semi. Now, let me give you a little bit of background on my experience driving. Been driving personally for 23 years. Highway, wherever. And think about it. I want you guys to think for a second of all the driving you've done on a highway. How many times have you passed a disabled commercial vehicle just on the shoulder?
Right.
It's not really that common. A lot of times if you see somebody broken down, it's just some little car or something.
That's something else I talked about. If you ever see a tractor trailer or a semi, a large one.
The biggest. Okay.
Any size, but usually they are very large. Parked on the side of the freeway, and there's no sirens behind it. Like the most recently, I've seen them being pulled over.
Semis.
Right, semis being pulled over. However, it's been a long time since I've seen one on the freeway with the hood cracked up. Because they bend forward.
The hood. Yeah,
the hood.
They put the hood up.
So they'll put the hood up, and that there's a breakdown. Mm-hmm. There was one recently I saw, but he had the tire truck. Like a big dually truck pull up behind him, changing his tire out.
Okay, so this is what...
But I don't see him broke down much anymore.
My dad used to be a commercial truck driver.
Huh?
Yeah, way before we were born.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I said, you used to do this. What's the story?
And he looked like Kenny Loggins with the full beard.
Now he looks like Cheech Marin. But
the pedo stash.
What?
Hey, give me a shout out. No.
He doesn't have a Cheech Marin doesn't have a pedo stash.
He's got that big caterpillar stash.
Yeah, it's a big thick one. The pedos are a lot more trim.
Oh, sorry about that, folks.
Yeah, you got to get your pedo stashes down. I mean, you got to be able to recognize these people. They're usually working for TSA.
Right.
So,
wow.
And that is true.
That's a shout out to TSA, folks. Right. Call in right now, 772-49.
Actually, I'd rather you not.
Oh.
I don't want to be groomed.
Whoa!
Wait, I'm too old for them.
So we're getting groomed now?
If you're talking to a TSA guy, you might be getting groomed.
CVG?
If he's being friendly with you.
Where's he at?
So anyway, so I'm approaching this. I talked to my dad and I said, "What's the story with broken down semis?"
Right.
And so he said they have their own crews normally. So if you break down, you call in the repair crew and they rush out with like a little pickup truck with all their tools on it.
It's money down. I mean, it's like a machine that I run. When the machine's down, you're not making any money. If this truck is down, you're not making any money.
Yeah, so they have an actual road crew that would run out there and fix it real quick. But even that's kind of rare because, like I said, ask yourself this question and think real hard. When's the last time you've been driving down the highway and seen a disabled vehicle? And tell me, how many times have you seen a broken down commercial vehicle in your life? I've been driving for 23 years. I mean, I could probably count it on half of one hand.
It doesn't happen often.
It's not very often. So, broken down commercial vehicle, out of all the times that you've seen commercial broken down vehicles, how many times have you seen them in the fast lane, unable to get to the shoulder before they were completely disabled?
I've never in all my years of driving, cross country, in other countries, never have I seen a broken down semi stuck in the fast lane.
If it's broken down, is it smaller?
No, it's still the large size, still the really long one, but being broke down mean it ain't working.
Oh, it's not working.
Right.
I gotcha.
And it's being stuck in the fast lane and not working, not possible. I've never seen it. They always get over to the side.
They usually park right in a fork in the road. Let's get back to the story here. So, back to the story. So I see him broken down in the fast lane, and Ryan's losing it. He's got too much juice in him.
This hour brought to you by Rockstar.
Oh, Rockstar.
Keep it going, folks.
Yes. Oh, you got the 0 calorie one.
The Rockstar Pure Zero.
I have espresso straight up.
That's always nice. The little Dixie cup.
Yes, triple shot. Yes.
Keep you lit up.
Woo! It hasn't kicked in yet, so hour 2 and 3, you guys are going to want to stick around.
Brought to you
for.
by Starbucks.
Right, there you go. Okay, so I approach this thing, and there's no... I see a figure walking around. I don't see any other things, and everybody's trying to get over, and...
No other broken cars around him.
Yeah, and I'm
no
just
other
curious.
Wrecks, no real wreck.
I'm just curious because that's the way my brain works. I wonder what's wrong with this guy. I wasn't upset. You know, people break down, and it really sucks when you break down in the fast lane. I actually was involved in a multi-car wreck on 9/11/01.
Wow.
The morning of, on my way to work, of 9/11. And it happened in the fast lane. And so it sucks. It's embarrassing. Everybody's honking when you're going by. They're upset. It's rush hour. I'm just like, hey, I feel bad for this guy, but I wonder what's wrong. So I'm looking and looking as we're all slowly filing past this semi. And finally, I see a figure like under the trailer, right in between the tires. He's between the trailer and the wall on the fast lane.
Right. So you could look under the trailer to see him on the
Yes.
other side. Okay.
And through looking under the trailer, he's located roughly between the axles of the trailer and the axles of the truck, which is a giant, like what, 20, 30 foot.
Could be 40.
40 feet of distance. So he's right about in the middle there. And I see him on his knees, and I thought maybe he had like a tool pouch right at his knees. I thought, oh, maybe he's working on it. No. He was on his knees, and what I saw on the pavement was a prayer rug.
What? Why
And
would-
so I'm like, look. So I decided, well, let me look right at him and see what the heck he's doing. What is that? He was praying to Mecca,
what?
which you're supposed to do in the Islamic faith. What, 5 times a day or something like that?
Yeah.
And there's certain times that you're supposed to do it, and I don't know what those times are, and I don't really care. But the reason, so. It took me a while for this to all sink in and register what I just saw. I'm like pulling away from this guy. Still, my brain is like trying to figure out what I just saw. And then it just dawned on me. And of course, the situation was he's in the fast lane. He's parked in the worst possible spot at the end of a giant funnel of on-ramps going on to the most busy bridge in all of Southwest Ohio, hands down, during rush hour. So I didn't just go just by that information alone. I also know of some stories where something kind of similar has happened in other cities where trucks have been stopped on the highway in precarious places so that the driver could get out and pray to Mecca. So it's not like this just came out of thin air, but the fact that I've heard of stories similar to that before, and he was parked in the fast lane, it left me with there's 2 things that could possibly be going on here. Number one, he's praying right before he blows everybody up, and we're talking full 18-wheeler semi here. So, you know, the Timothy McVeigh explosion that took down half of a building, which, remind me, Brian, was it parked inside the building?
No, I believe it was on the outside.
Really?
Right there underneath.
So think of all the damage that was done to that building, the federal building.
Well, the amount of ammonium nitrate that he was able to get was prior to the government clampdown.
Right.
So the only way to get that much ammonium nitrate to fill up a tractor trailer, because I presented this question to our high information voter, and he explained to me that since Timothy McVeigh, in order to get that much ammonium nitrate to take down the Brent Spence Bridge, you would have to be a serious plugged-in farmer with a large amount of land. However, on the other hand, not to be too cynical about it, you know how many Muslims are out there that could say, you know what, we need to get some land and pretend to be a farmer and then be funded.
Do they not have enough money in the Middle East?
Right.
Don't think that they're just poor people out there in the Middle East in the desert with their little brand new Hilux Toyotas. I mean,
Hilux, folks. There's a reason why they call it Hilux.
So, yeah, I mean, flat out, they definitely have the means to pull something like that off. I mean, they had the money. You know, I looked into becoming a commercial pilot before 9/11, was right after
Correct.
I got out of the military. Turns out, ComAir had a special school you could go to down in Florida.
Nice.
And it's like kind of crash course for civilian pilots. And it's like a 4-year thing, and they really cram it like totally. The guy described it to me as like it's like drinking water out of a fire hose, and there's a lot of washout. Like,
yeah.
So he said, but it's like $80,000, and you know it's just really expensive. Back then, like nowadays, if you send your child to a high school that's not public, you're looking at $40,000
right
over the course of 4 years. But back then, $80,000 for college was obscene. So there's a little bit of a bubble in the education. But my point being is, those guys in the Middle East, if they want to commit a large-scale terrorist attack, they will, and it costs a lot of money to set it up. They're going to get the money, period. So,
right. And you're only talking about, I mean, seriously, you're only talking about probably, say you had $20-30 million. I mean, you could set up. And I know guys who could set up fake corporations and fake, you know, just everything fake. Fake farm, fake corporation, fake land. Just get it all together and it'd be one big giant facade. I mean, you could probably do it for less than $20-30 million easily.
Well, and the thing is the result that you're going for, which would be commit terrorism,
correct,
would be able to easily be implemented before all the bureaucrats were able to track all that crap down. And they would have to specifically be looking for it.
Correct.
Like when Ray Reynolds got busted, didn't you say that he's high profile? They're going to be looking at his stuff.
From now on, correct.
And that's kind of
he did some time, did a stint in jail for tax evade, or not tax evade, but mismanaging his taxes returns.
Oh, okay. They have mismanaging. So, did you hear about Evans Landscaping for all you Cincinnati people, since we're talking about the Brent Spence Bridge? Evans Landscaping, this is kind of, we're getting off on a sidetrack, but I'm just throwing it out there because of the hiding corporations and doing all that stuff. They set up some homeless black guy with a corporation so that he could be a front, he could be a straw man business to get all the city contracts because they're a minority-owned corporation.
Right.
They got some guy that happens to be black to be the straw man for a corporation. Then that way Evans could say that they could negotiate city contracts on that business's behalf and then subcontract Evans to do it.
Right.
That's why Evans Landscape is busted right now.
Well, apparently they didn't do the paperwork correctly.
Okay.
You're saying they should have consulted me.
Because that would have been no problem.
Flat out.
Oh, my gosh.
They so did not do the paperwork correctly.
This is why we're pushing for free market capitalism and an end to this is ridiculous.
Why should they have to do that? They should never you're like, well, look at all the capitalism. They're cheating. They're kiting and cheating and floating money and moving stuff around. Well, they're only doing that because the government has implemented so many rules and regulations that are just so insane that they have to do that.
Right.
This should never have gone down. Ever. There's no reason for
Somehow Evan got busted for it.
Minority owned because you get preferential treatment and you definitely get preferential treatment when bidding on government, city, local jobs.
No, they're absolutely only looking for minority owned businesses.
Right.
That's why Evans had to do that.
Right. I don't blame them. I mean, you got to do what you got to do to stay in business.
Well, I think what they
should
were
have done the
mad
paperwork
about,
right.
What they were mad about is that they were supposed, if they wanted to subcontract for minority-owned business doing city contracts, what their argument is find a legitimate minority-owned business. Don't make a fake one, is what they were thinking. But Brian's right. All these rules, the rule that you can only get a city contract if you're minority-owned or you would get preferential treatment is absolutely corrupt. And is the problem with the socialist government as it is, or communist? I'm sorry, I shouldn't even use the S word, because that's a misnomer. But anyway, all right. So back to our terrorism story. So either it was a dry run, or it was at the time I thought it might have actually been a real terrorist attack. But once I got to my destination, and I found out that the Brent Spence Bridge had not been blown up yet, I thought, okay, well, clearly it must not be a terrorist attack, or if it was somehow miracle thwarted. Like the guy stopped, couldn't get it to detonate, so he got out to pray to Allah to make it detonate or something.
Right.
But no, that didn't happen. So I thought, okay, if it wasn't a dry run, which it still could have absolutely been a dry run, then it was some guy, some Muslim that knew that if he did something like that, he could get a rise out of somebody, which is basically baiting for a multi-million-dollar lawsuit, particularly if it's a police officer that's like, hey, get up! Get your hands against whatever. All of a sudden it's discrimination against Muslims.
Right.
They're just trying to do their prayer.
Well, I'm telling you right now, I started going through this in my mind. And obviously when you go through it in your mind, it's going to be a whole lot different than being there in real time and reality. But first and foremost, in my mind, I'm pulling over. I'm pulling the gun out. I'm holding it at him, and I'm saying, buddy, get up! Nobody look at my face! What are you doing? And then all of a sudden he starts charging at me.
Oh, well, I was actually considering stopping. In fact, I was mad at myself for not pulling the car over real quick, which, by the way, I had my daughter in the car with me. So that obviously was problematic. But I was mad that I didn't stop and start videotaping and maybe even trying to ask him questions. I was mad at myself for not doing that until about 10 seconds of thought went through my head. And I realized, wow, I might be lucky to be alive.
Right, that bridge didn't come down.
Right. And by the way, getting back to Timothy McVeigh, if you are... oh, man, I got to turn my phone's blowing up. I think Donald Trump might be on Twitter right now. So
we'll get to that soon.
Yeah,
folks.
sorry about that, folks. My phone was blowing up, so Donald must be trying to get on the horn with me. He must be. He doesn't know the telephone number.
You know how he is.
What is the telephone number again?
I said 772-49-SMITH, SMYTH.
All right. So we went ahead and drove off, and I called 911. And I said, there may possibly be a terrorist event.
So you used the word terrorist.
Oh, yeah. And I said, this guy, I just don't know. It's just way too sketchy. I told him exactly what I saw. And he said, we got dispatch coming out, sir. And I said, okay, just FYI, you might want to go ahead and bring out the bomb squad, too, because I just don't know, man. It looks real wrong.
Yikes.
It looks really wrong. But, okay, so I go ahead and post what I saw on Facebook for two reasons. Number one, could be a terrorist attack. I want to warn friends and family. Number two, if you're just going southbound on 75, it was a freaking parking lot.
So avoid it.
Right, thanks to this guy that was on the side of the road. But I didn't know what happened because I didn't.
Well, I got on the horn. I'm at the house. I got it on the horn. I called local District 1, downtown Cincinnati Police Department. I said, buddy, you're not going to believe this Muslim jihad is on the bridge. They said, whoa, son, slow down. We've got a lot of concerned citizens calling in for the same reason. Okay. Sir, we're on it.
We're on it. Okay.
That's what he said.
Cool.
I said, all right, thanks, man.
Yeah, so a lot of people called in, and so that was what the concern was. So the bridge did not blow up, and 2.5 hours later, I drive home across the same bridge again, and everything looks normal, nothing out of the ordinary. Bridge is still intact, the cars are moving. And we get to the side that the truck was there, and my daughter said, "Hey, Daddy, that same truck's there." I said, are you sure? And she said, yeah, I remember because I remember the markings on the side.
Wow.
I said, are you sure it just didn't look similar or you weren't looking at a different truck? She said, no, that same truck's there. Sure enough, as soon as we pass and I look over, it is a dead stop parking lot. All the cars are just dead stop. This is 2.5 hours after the peak of rush hour. By the way, for those of you listening who might be interested, it was on Tuesday at about 6 p.m. is when I ran into the guy praying.
And this is a major vein crossing. This semi was jammed inside a major vein that connects Cincinnati to Kentucky.
If you're anywhere in Southwest Ohio and you have to get to Kentucky, it's pretty much one of your only. There's really two choices. There's the Brent Spence and there's the Big Mac. If you don't do one of those two bridges, you're getting into slim pickings to get across the river. You could divert around to 275, which is a lot further. Unless you're going to go to Louisville, you want to take 275. But no, we're talking a major artery. So I was like, wow. Did you see any cop cars, lights or anything? She's like, I couldn't tell. So I'm like, well, was it a terrorist attack? I mean, do they have the bomb squad there, the dog sniffers and all that kind of stuff? You know, what's going on here? And so I didn't hear it. So I go home and I turn on the news at 11. Nothing. I switch channels. Nothing.
And I text
channels.
I text my buddies from work, some of the friends of mine. They said they scoured the news as well.
Nothing.
I went on Facebook and I scoured all the local news channels on Facebook and their pages, and one local lady.
Really? Okay.
One local lady responded.
I did not see this. This is breaking news for me. What'd she say?
She said, hey, you're pretty good looking there. I
Oh,
said, what?
I can see that. Yeah.
See,
It happens all the time.
It does. I'm actually trying to get back. Oh, there she is. Sheila Gray from Local 12 News.
Oh, okay.
I sent her out. I actually called her. There's a phone number to call her.
Okay.
So I called her, and she said, "Whoa, WHOA."
Oh, that's whoa.
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 It's Keanu Reeves.
Mr. Producer, why don't we have that queued up at all times?
Wait, which one, though? You'd have to have a montage of woes.
Right.
That's his main line.
And she said, so, whoa. Thanks, Brian. Got your voicemail, too.
Okay.
That's it.
So I imagine she told her producer, hey, can we look into this? What's with the parking lot on 75 South? Oh, that's so annoying. None of the news channels popped up with it. So I said, I got to get to the bottom of this. So I started calling my local buddies that are cops. And first one I got to, a good friend of mine, I said, are you in, District 1? And he's like, no, District 5. I'm like, all right. Have you heard about this? He's like, no, I haven't. But I have buddies in all the districts, so go ahead and I'll go ahead and call my buddies and find out what happened. So he called me a couple hours later and told me that by the time dispatch got there, he was gone. Not the truck, though. The truck was still there.
What? What? So he abandoned a truck on the freeway.
Went in the fast lane. He said that when they got there, the truck was abandoned. And so, of course, because of the calls, they inspected it.
Now, I've got major problems. I've got major problems with this.
If you really stop and think about it, though, before I go any further, though, the night that this happened, I posted on Facebook what I saw. And one of my buddies, good guy, I like the guy, I respect him, I'm friends with him, he's a colleague of mine. He said, well, let me play devil's advocate here. Is it possible that a semi-truck in rush hour traffic broke down and it just happened to be that the driver was Muslim? And he actually said, or he didn't even say, could he have happened to have been Muslim? Could he have just been out of the truck praying for help?
Yeah, monkeys could fly out of my...
But no, monkeys couldn't fly out of your butt. But it's possible that a guy driving a modern semi-truck was, and by the way, I'll go ahead and tell you the trailer, and I don't know if he's an independent driver or if he works for the shipping division of this, but it was a Target truck.
What?
It was Target. Yeah.
Target?
It was French, yeah.
This, man, you know what? I was wanting to ask you about that. This is so wrong.
It's but he still could be an independent truck driver. So it's a modern truck, broke down in the fast lane, unable to get to a shoulder during rush hour in the worst possible spot that you could ever want to get broken down on.
And the best possible spot to ignite a bomb.
The best possible spot to go ahead and ignite a device of that size and caliber, which, by the way, thanks to Obama, we have an Iran nuke deal easily. I don't know how easy it would be to get the nuke into the country. I'm sure there's some place on the Mexican border you could probably do that.
Well, our high information voter was telling me that you can get a truckload of IUDs over.
But you don't need, border. You do not
When I say truckload, I mean a small Toyota size, little like 1980s Toyota.
Well, if you could get a semi across the Mexican border,
yeah,
then, and I don't know if that's possible, but if you could.
They got one across the border that was loaded with like 49 illegal immigrants, and they were sweating in the trailer.
What?
The guy left the truck.
That sounds like a lot of empty space. You could fit 49 in a Volkswagen.
Right, but the guy left the truck with the doors locked.
On the Brent Spence Bridge?
Yeah.
I mean, what? I mean...
Yeah, this is in Arizona. So it is.
Ooh, that's like 119 degrees.
Yeah, they were all falling out. There was video from the cops' chest cam of them falling out, sweating.
Oh, I'll bet. Wow, that's very dangerous. You think about locking your dog in the car on a hot summer day. Now think about Arizona, 119 degrees out there. So anyway, so it was abandoned. But my friend said, let me play devil's advocate. Could it be that all this was just a coincidence? And I said, yes, theoretical, in Theoryville, that is theoretically possible. But like I said, how often do you see broken down commercial vehicles? And how often do you see them unable to make it to a shoulder during rush hour?
Never.
In a bad spot?
Never.
In a great spot to blow up?
Right.
It really ended up kind of looking like a dry run. And why did he disappear? He does his praise. Is he going to play devil's advocate and say, well, he prayed, Allah did not deliver, so he just had to walk home? Is that what he's trying to tell me? I don't know what the walking away is. Is that now my cop buddy said now it happens all the time that people abandon their vehicle. They walk off the highway or get a ride off the highway, and then they just never come back.
I'd like to see the stats on how many tractor trailers are abandoned.
Exactly.
What company, especially Target, a high Target?
Yeah, by the way, Target, if there's a Target manager listening right now, that delivery that you didn't get, you might want to check the police impound lot, because the guy told me that the police had to arrange for tow.
The police arrange for a tow, and they tow the truck off the bridge.
Yeah.
To impound.
Uh-huh.
I'd like to know the contents of that
Oh, no,
trailer.
they inspected it and they said they didn't find anything fishy, and he assured me of that because they took it to the police impound lot, and he said they don't want no bombs in the police impound lot.
Well, but here's the thing, though. He's not going to tell you if they did find something.
Probably not, and he wouldn't
because it's information. He might not even be getting the information because the information the news media would get.
Let's say his name is John. Okay, so here's how
John Smith with an I.
With an I. Not Jon, it's John.
John.
Yes. I don't know where you were going with that. Okay. So John, what'd you call for? Well, I'm just curious, what was the deal with the truck on the highway on Tuesday, last Tuesday, 6? Oh, John. Yeah, it was just abandoned. We towed it off. No big deal. Well, yeah. I heard there was a Muslim driver who's praying, and it was a dry run that did.
We don't know.
Gone.
We don't know what kind of driver it was. He was gone.
John.
He was gone.
He was gone. Okay. Okay.
Calling him Muslim when we don't even know. We don't even know. He
What
wasn't
is
even
your
there.
problem? Hey, John. If boss man, Chief knew that you were talking about a Muslim,
questioning
somebody's faith. We could be, John, I'm not going to repeat this conversation because I don't want to see you go down like that. I really don't.
In my mind, it's dry run. My mind. So, check this out. Cincinnati AP FBI Director James Comey said Wednesday the recruitment of potential homegrown terrorists by the Islamic State group, ISIS, Muslim, Islam, whatever you want to call them, is widespread and goes on 24 hours a day across the United States. Hundreds of people are consuming social media efforts to either draw them overseas to join extremists or, quote, if you can't come, kill where you are.
Dude,
and
what?
And that is a two-pronged siren song that goes out through social media, end quote. He said Twitter, other insane messaging, and encrypted communications have been made the recruiting
you said insane messaging. Instant
messaging. Insane instant messaging.
It is insane messaging.
I was like, why didn't that make sense? No, just keep going.
Insane.
I told my brain not to even stop.
Yeah, you might want to go ahead and have your brain go ahead and absorb those words a little bit better. Insane messaging.
Insane, because it is
by
all
the
insane.
way, copyright smithradio.com because
Insane messaging.
That's going to be the next big internet sensation. If you take it, you're going to owe us royalties.
Right.
Insane messaging.
Insane messaging.
Oh, my gosh.
And the recruiting efforts of extremists easier and pervasive over the past 2 years. Quote, so we have investigations in all 50 states to try to identify among hundreds of thousands of people who are consuming this poison. That's insane. Where are they on the stages from consuming to acting? And how do we stop them from acting?
Well, first we have to go to all the theater groups because they do a lot of acting.
We have to find the method actors.
You won't be able to tell. You'll think that's their personality.
Well, but you know you're in the acting group.
Okay, if you can identify them as a member of the theater group.
And you don't think they're acting.
For those of you who
they're
are
acting.
finding this humor to be over your head, he uses the word acting twice in the same sentence when talking about
acting.
About terrorists.
Terrorist acting. And when are they going to...
As if, like, instead of saying doing a terrorist attack, he just says acting.
Right.
So, all right. So anyway. But that's interesting. So this is coming out of Cincinnati? Or no, Cincinnati reported it.
Yes.
Okay, so Cincinnati...
There's an AP division here in Cincinnati.
Okay, I just want to make clear because you said FBI Director James Comey. Is it Comey or Comey? Comey? What?
He's the FBI director, Comey.
The FBI director's name is Comey?
Do you know who else was an FBI director? Bush Senior.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I could totally see that. I mean, the big, the glasses and everything.
Oh, yeah.
I could totally see that. So anyway, this came out on Wednesday. Well, the terrorist dry run thing that happened in downtown Cincinnati happened on Tuesday night.
Right.
Coincidence?
I think not.
So go ahead and get that tinfoil hat out because that is very interesting coincidence. I believe that all of us blowing up 911 that night probably got people, in these places to start talking and trying to figure out what the heck's going on here.
Right.
And I think they uncovered this and decided to go public with it.
Right.
All right, on to the next news item of
This
the day.
is the one that everybody's been waiting for, especially yours truly, Carrie Smith.
Oh, am I in the news today?
Let's crack that one open.
All right.
What happened? What?
All right. So, okay.
What happened? Now, hold on. Before you get into it, I want to let everybody know I have been on the edge of my seat waiting for Trump to steer into a bridge abutment.
And he may have steered into a bridge abutment. So the news for this weekend. See, none of the if you are listening to this right now and you listen to talk radio all week, or you get all of your news consumption during the week, this is breaking news to you because this all came late. This started late Friday and still, as we speak, is still going on. We may even break news in the middle of the show. I don't know.
Right.
But basically what happened was there is now what experts, pundits, whatever, are calling a Trump-Bush feud with regards to Donald Trump and Jeb Bush. And it pretty much blew up when Trump was interviewed by Stephanie Ruhle. Is it R-U-H-L-E? It's either Roll or Ruhle. I'll go ahead and say Ruhle. So he was interviewed by her on Bloomberg TV. And Trump said, when you talk about Bush, I mean, say what you want, World Trade Center came down during his time.
Yikes.
So when I heard that, my initial reaction is, oh, that's painful. Because, okay, so let's just stop right there so we can indulge our audience on how we feel about the G.W. Bush presidency for 8 years. What is your, off the top of your head, feelings on his presidency?
Really irritated me because he was such an appeaser to the left.
Hold on. Back then you thought this?
Oh, you just asked me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're telling me what you're...
So where am I at now? Okay.
Yeah.
With the alternate ending.
Okay.
Where am I right now?
Okay, where are you right now?
I'm going to answer this question. You tell me what time period I am in.
Well, okay, during Bush's presidency, how'd you feel about Bush?
I was irritated that he kept reaching across the aisle. I hated that about him. However, I did like the fact that it was so refreshing to have somebody who loved America, loved his country, seemed to come off strong with the military, seemed to, push forward with Iraq and Iran, and seemed to really stay the course. It felt good. However, behind the scenes, and I don't know if you know this, but right after 9/11 went down, like that day, hundreds of Saudis were flown out of the country.
I heard about that, and
I got that from Glenn Beck.
Yeah, he's the.
Did you know that they're getting everybody's just done with him.
Which Glenn Beck? We're getting off on a tangent. Yeah, okay. Well, Glenn Beck is the king of the tinfoil hats, but the reason he became so famous and popular and all that is because almost every single tinfoil hat story he's ever told
has been
pretty much dead on balls accurate, which is remarkable because back when he first came out, you were like, this guy's nuts.
He's off the hook.
Totally off the rails.
Especially everything with Benghazi. When Benghazi went down,
well, that was
he called everything
for
the way it's come out.
Here's where I give Glenn Beck credit. He's the first one in my entire life that has come out and educated people about communism in America.
Right.
Before Glenn Beck came along, nobody was talking about it because nobody knew. Nobody even had a clue that there was... everybody thought communism died when the Berlin Wall came down. Right. And they thought that the whole idea of communism and the people who would deep down in their secret self would say, yeah, I'm a communist. And some people who are actually total full-blown communists who don't even know it would, nobody knows about this stuff.
Right.
Glenn Beck comes along and he says, guys, communism's alive well, and it's completely infiltrated the Department of Education, the entire State Department, all
of our news media.
News media. Oh my gosh!
There was a meme.
There's
a meme I put up the other day. It was an old white-haired reporter still at CNN. I don't know who it was, but it was just it looked like Moses. If he was still alive 2,000 years later.
If he was actually 2,000 years old.
Correct.
That's what he would look like.
And he was in this meme sitting at his CNN desk getting ready to give the report and the news. You see CNN in the background everywhere. And the caption was, I haven't seen this many communists since I reported on Vietnam.
Oh, I did see that. That's really funny. Yeah, that's a good one. They're
everywhere.
Yeah, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. And it's like there was another meme just like that about the Democratic debate. Did you see that one? The CNN.
No, I don't think so. No.
Yeah, there was a meme out there that said that. It was cracking.
Wow. So what was your feeling about Bush during his reign?
Keep in mind, I was very young. I voted for him over Al Gore. This is how early I was in my political ideology. I went into the 2000 election, like into the first debate. I said, okay, I'm totally on the fence with both these guys. 50-50. I don't know. Flip a coin. But let me hear what they have to say at the debates. So I listened to the first one. I was like, wow, George Bush sounded a lot better. His ideas seemed a lot better.
Right.
Gore, whatever, he didn't seem like he was as good. So I'm kind of leaning towards Bush. Then second debate, even more. Third debate, it was a sweep. And I said, I got to vote for the guy that had the better ideas. I don't know anything. I'm a dumb, low-information voter. I'm just going to go by what I saw in the debates. And I was right because Al Gore is a closet communist, and you can see that with the inconvenient truth and the using of the global warming to implement communist, oppressive policies and all that kind of stuff. But I got to go further. So I voted for him. And all I knew was that it seems like, based on the debates, I kind of leaned towards his policies, and that's the way it is. 9/11 happened. Now, keep in mind, I was in the military during the Clinton years. And so I know how things work under Clinton.
Lord have mercy.
So here I am. I don't know much about the difference between the left and the right, but 9/11 happens, and I remember all those cruise missiles that the Clintons shot in. Anytime something happened to USS Cole, anything that happened on Clinton's watch, he just lobbed a couple cruise missiles in some Middle Eastern country, and he assured us that he got the bad guys, or got somebody that was related to the bad guys, or something, or they were brown. I don't know. I don't know what his rationale was for lobbing cruise missiles. But so I remember thinking to myself, after watching those Twin Towers come down and know that they killed 3,000 innocent civilians, and how much steam was shooting out of my ears in madness. My face was red. I was so angry over the whole thing. And I remember thinking to myself, I want him to just declare. We were talking nukes. You remember that?
Yes.
People were talking, somebody's going to get a nuke for this. And I remember thinking to myself, that's not going to happen, because that stuff doesn't happen. And I was getting really frustrated. Didn't know what was going to happen. Then he declared war on Afghanistan, and he started up with the and I still wasn't sure. I was like, I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen. Rounded up our troops and our air wing.
What about weapons of mass destruction, Kerry?
No, that's Iraq. We're talking about Afghanistan.
Well, I know, but then soon, right after that...
Well, let me tell you something. An airline hijacked by terrorists is a weapon of mass destruction, and we've seen that on 9/11.
Correct.
So the response on the Afghanistan invasion, full-blown bombs everywhere, I just had this feeling of so much relief. My face was beet red with anger. I even called up my recruiter and said, look, I know I've been out for a while. I'm still in the last couple months of my delayed entry. Oh, not delayed entry. My inactive reserves.
Old man reserve. Oh,
yeah. A lot of people don't realize this. When you sign up for the military,
You're in
you
4, and then you're
years.
actually out 4.
Well, you're
Right.
in for 8 total.
Correct.
No matter what.
Right.
If you say, oh, I did 2 years, which they don't even do anymore, but back in the day, if you did 2 years, you really did 8.
Right.
You did 2 active and 6 inactive.
You just didn't know it.
You may not have known it. They tell you. Everybody knows. So I was still on inactive reserves. And I called up my recruiter and said, hey, if you need me, this is my phone number.
Pull me back in.
He's like, don't worry. We got people going in. He did tell me that.
There was a
He
lot
told
of
me that.
people. There was a lot of Americans who enlisted right after 9/11.
Right. Well, no, he wasn't talking about new people. He was just indicating to me we're sending our
Right.
people.
Okay.
So anyway, so the invasion, and I just was so happy, and the way he handled it, went down to the World Trade Center ruins and got on that megaphone and told everybody's going to hear from us that did
Right.
this. Hear from us soon. I really loved that. I loved almost everything that he did in response to World Trade Center, and I defended him for years over the Patriot Act because this was early on in my ideology, and I didn't understand exactly how the Constitution worked back then. I was
Right.
young. I was in my 20s.
And we too, and myself included, and it's a shame that we weren't taught this in school.
Exactly.
Should have been taught this in
Exactly. And you know what? We're trying to fix that. We're trying to fix that.
So, what is your take on Bush during his years and 9/11? 9/11 is not his fault.
Absolutely not.
Okay, and my small amount of wisdom and things that I know and things I've learned since then, a lot of this stuff was actually harbored and festered and watered and groomed during Clinton's reign. A lot of this stuff. And this can even be traced back to Jimmy Carter.
Ooh, wow. Now you're getting way before
Yeah,
time.
well, I mean, when these Democrats start meddling in the Middle East and deposing different dictators and moving and shifting and, I mean, it starts with Carter.
Well, okay. Let me go ahead and defend Carter real quick.
Oh.
Again, people are like turning me off real
Is
quick.
he
right
dead
now.
yet?
I thought we announced
He had cancer.
we announced that he was going to be dead within weeks.
Right.
And so, whatever.
Lamar Odom kicked back up, though.
I didn't predict his demise though.
The Viagra woke him up. He came back.
The Viagra did?
It woke
worked.
him back up.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear.
Rigor mortis.
Oh, jeez. Wow. Oh, my God. When you're laughing, you should just laugh into the microphone because it's funny. But Brian doesn't. He likes to do the airplane style comedy where you play it straight. Problem is he's totally cracked up right now.
I've got no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a grown?
Well,
Whoa!
yeah.
That was Airplane,
No.
and this is Rated G show.
Right. Well, actually, watching gladiator movies is actually G-rated.
Yeah. Hey, so do you want to hear the sound clip of Trump and old boy on Fox News talking about this?
Oh, well, then that's today. We'll get to that.
We're not
if
there
you don't
yet.
have the audio of Bloomberg, I'll just tell you what he said. He said, when you talk about George W. Bush, I mean, say what you want. World Trade Center came down during his time. Stephanie Ruley, who was interviewing him, said, hold on. You can't blame George W. Bush for that. And he says, he was prez, okay? Blame him or not? But he goes, blame him?
It's his Mexican accent.
He said, blame him? I'm trying to do a New York accent, but I'm pretty bad at it. Blame him or don't blame him, but he was president. The World Trade Center came down on his watch. That's what Trump said. That was his response to Stephanie when she said, whoa, 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 whoa.
So Jeb steps into the ring of fire.
And I have his tweet. Jeb tweeted, and this was at 3:08. I don't know what time the Bloomberg TV interview was aired, but at 3:08 on Friday, Jeb tweeted, how pathetic for Trump to criticize the president for 9/11. We were attacked, and my brother kept us safe. Well,
See, there's a problem with that statement.
what's wrong with that statement?
He said, my brother kept us safe.
That's exactly what he tweeted.
Right.
Well, what did he want to say?
9/11 happened.
Yeah.
Well, those people weren't safe.
Right. Well, a lot of people don't remember this, but I saw on some channel they replayed the audio of the debate. During the second debate, when Jeb decided to grow a pair, because remember, he didn't do nothing in the first debate.
Right.
In the second debate, he decided to grow a pair and tried to go after Trump, and they had a couple exchanges. Well, in one of those exchanges, Jeb said, our brother kept us safe, or the President Bush kept us safe. And so Trump tweeted at 9:07 Friday, 6 hours after Jeb. Yeah. He said, at the debate, you said your brother kept us safe. I wanted to be nice and did not mention the World Trade Center came down during his watch.
Facts are facts.
I'm
not here defending Trump. That is not what I'm doing. And I don't want you to think that
I'm here
Radio...
to attack him.
Okay, right. Well,
you ready?
okay.
I'm ready to blast him.
Then I'll take the other side then. Go ahead.
Okay, so when he said I was trying to be nice and didn't want to mention that the World Trade Center came down during his watch, he's referring to the debates. I'm going to tell you right now, had he snapped back at Jeb after Jeb saying, my brother kept us safe, and Trump came back and said... During the debate.
Right.
9/11 happened on his watch. I think he would have got booed.
That would have been bad.
It would have been bad.
Real bad.
That being said, how is it any better now?
You know. It's after the fact.
He would have got booed. I'm telling you.
It's on Twitter. You can't boo people on Twitter. Well, you can, but it doesn't come off the same way.
There is no unfavorite. There is no unfavorite.
Somebody asked me if they're going to have a dislike button.
They've been hounding Facebook for almost a decade.
How does YouTube have a dislike? YouTube's got a dislike.
They do have a thumb down.
A like and a dislike. Right. No Facebook.
Facebook's like, no, we want to stay positive.
When the politically correct.
I guess.
All
but
right.
anyway, so
come on, fast forward to Sunday. Come fast forward to this clip.
Well, later on, 20 minutes later, Trump tweeted again.
Oh, no.
During your brother's term, when the World Trade Center was attacked. Oh, I'm sorry. He said,
during your brother's reign of terror.
Oh, okay. I guess he only tweeted once. Oh, Jeb said you're pathetic, right? So Trump tweeted in response, no, Jeb, you're pathetic for saying nothing happened during your brother's term when World Trade Center was attacked and came down. That was his last tweet about the pathetic exchanges. So they both exchanged pathetic remarks.
So Donald, the Don, was interviewed by Chris Wallace.
Okay. That was Sunday.
And during the interview, I don't know when the interview actually was recorded, but obviously it was recorded right after this, but it was played.
Does this make Trump look good? Because I haven't heard this one.
Chris Wallace says, I was hard on Trump, and Trump told me so. Trump told me I was hard on him, and months later I finally got the interview. So he sat down with me, and we did.
It's remarkable what Trump's doing, isn't it?
I've got the lightning round questions, but I singled this one question out.
Okay.
That he threw at him about 9/11 and Bush.
Okay.
Jebster.
Because I just didn't know if we should do this one first or what Yahoo pointed out. But
what did Yahoo point out?
Well, Yahoo said that it's something of an unspoken consensus among Republicans to either support or steer clear of the George W. Bush presidential record.
Okay, so why is Yahoo saying it's an unspoken Republican thing?
Well, because think about it. No matter what,
they say don't bash a former president.
Well, that is a Republican thing. But in particular with George W. Bush, it's basically either you say, oh, I supported him, he's a great president, he did a lot of good things, or you just keep your mouth shut, is what they're saying. It's unspoken. And they also said in an interview with Fox News earlier this month, Trump called George W. Bush presidency a disaster.
I hate to say it, but there's some truth to that.
I guess. I mean, the thing that really...
all the money that he spent on all the social programs and dumping all this. And
you're going to have to be more specific because I don't know.
Welfare exploded during his term.
No. That happened under... Obama's the one that slashed... Okay, Newt Gingrich, when Newt Gingrich became Speaker of the House, he implemented the welfare reform.
Right.
A lot of people listening might not know this because they're too young, or they might not remember this. But back in the late 80s, I guess it was under, or maybe it was under Clinton. I think it was under Clinton. Yeah, I guess it was late 80s. That's right. into the late 80s, there were people I knew that were trying to have as many babies as possible because every baby they would have, they would get a raise from the government.
Right.
They were literally professional baby-making machines.
Yeah, but during his first and second term,
Who?
Bush W, federal spending was almost at the level of what Reagan was doing, and Reagan was pushing back on communism.
But we had 9/11 in 9 months into his term. We were spending on defense, I believe. Now, there might have been some No Child Left Behind stuff. But look, welfare was the biggest just joke during the 80s. And then Clinton got elected, and it was getting worse. And then finally, it all came to a stop when Newt Gingrich became Speaker of the House, when we took over the House. And Newt Gingrich came up with the Contract with America.
Right.
He completely reformed welfare, and it ended. All that stuff was ended. When Obama got into office, the first thing he did was executive order roll back everything Newt Gingrich did.
Right.
So all this spending on welfare is completely Obama executive ordering the end of Newt Gingrich's Contract with America.
Okay.
That's what that is.
All right.
But now the No Child Left Behind seemed like a joke.
Patriot Act.
The Patriot Act was unconstitutional, which I always
And
said, no, it's not unconstitutional. It was unconstitutional.
The number one problem with the Patriot Act is that it allows for an evil person to be elected president to take full and complete advantage of it.
Which is exactly what happened.
Obama. It's
Right.
completely
And that's the
take
thing
advantage.
about Republicans. It's so easy when we have power of everything to know that everything is going to be in good stewardship.
Right.
That everything will be fine.
But then you get an evil communist.
You have to limit your own power,
Right.
because when a communist like Obama comes along, they can...
All right, so here's the exchange with Wallace and Trump.
Okay.
You ready?
Oh, nice. I like it.
Lord.
Did he actually play the guitar?
He did. He broke out his Fender Stratocaster.
I love
Mr.
it.
Producer.
Before you...
Something
here we
you
go.
said on Friday has stirred up some controversy about George W. Bush and the Twin Towers.
When you talk about George Bush, I mean, say what you want. The World Trade Center came down during his time. If you look
Hold
at
on,
Sandy Hook,
you can't blame George Bush for that.
he was president, okay? Don't blame him or don't blame him, but he was president. The World Trade Center came down during his reign.
Jeb Bush responded to your comments with a tweet. He said, "How pathetic." Question, do you blame George W. Bush for 9/11?
Look, Jeb said we were safe with my brother. We were safe. Well, the World Trade Center just fell down. Now, am I trying to blame him? I'm not blaming anybody. But the World Trade Center came down. So when he said we were safe, that's not safe. We lost 3,000 people. It was one of the greatest, probably the greatest catastrophe ever in this country, if you think about it, right?
What would you have done?
Well, I would have been much different, I must tell you. Somebody said, well, it wouldn't have been any different. Well, it would have been. I am extremely, extremely tough on illegal immigration. I'm extremely tough on people coming into this country. I believe that if I were running things, I doubt that those people would have been in the country. So there is a good chance that those people would not have been in our country. With that being said, I'm not blaming George Bush, but I don't want Jeb Bush to say, my brother kept us safe, because September 11th was one of the worst days in the history of this country.
And I'll tell you, this is...
Dude, he worked his way out of that.
Oh, he did a great job of making what he said kind
Okay.
of... Yeah.
Okay.
But let's be real. Let's be real. And I'm not trying to say I'm done with Trump. I'm still a big fan of everything that he's talking about, other than... There's two things that he's just grinding my gears.
Whoa.
And that is just... I think it's revisionist to say that he didn't keep us safe because 9/11 happened, and ignoring the fact that here they had the most successful attack in their history of their war against America.
Right.
And for the next 7 years, 3 months... There was no terrorist attack on U.S. soil at all. And that must have been a very tough task. And they must have been working very hard to ensure that. And the reason I know that is because there's been a lot of terrorist attacks on U.S. soil under Obama's watch. And so for him to not be able to do it kind of makes it look like Bush was able to do it. And to sit there and say, well, yeah, he didn't keep us safe because 9/11 happened. Was anybody, I mean, I know there was a document on his desk that said that they were going to try to fly planes, but
Right.
you have to have been alive and old enough to know in the 90s, we were the most ignorantly bliss.
Right. Absolutely.
Life was so bliss in the 90s. No, the only other time in history might have been in the 60s.
Yeah, and I'll tell you,
60s and 90s were the most ignorantly bliss times in America ever.
throughout the decade of the 90s, you could quit a job today and have a new job before the day was up.
Yeah, you
Literally.
could. You could definitely do that. But then also, you're talking economy, but just everything. Nobody had any foreign enemies or even domestic enemies on their mind in the 90s.
No, not
Nobody
at all.
was even thinking about it. It was the most blissful.
You could even say
time
that
in
we
the
were
world.
isolationist, if you will, mentally.
Mentally, definitely.
Mentally isolationist, because to think of Israel, to think of the Middle East, to think of Iraq, Iran, to think of Russia, to think of any of these other countries were just, to think about Mexico, whatever, forget about it. We weren't even thinking about America Junior,
in the 90s,
Canada.
In the 90s, I was
Who cares?
strolling around in Mexico. I
Yes!
strolled around in Seoul, Korea.
Yes!
And I strolled around in Hiroshima, Japan. All three, not to say that Hiroshima's dangerous or anything like that, but Seoul and any place in Mexico, today, with my post 9/11 and post the world going to hell in a handbag,
Completely different.
I would think, really, should I be going out and just
When I was in Italy, we would take the train and we'd go to the north, go to the south, just frolicking all over Europe and Germany.
now you
In
can't even
Germany,
go
out
on
of
a
Germany.
You can't even go on a train in France without having to be ready to tackle somebody with a freaking AK-47 or something,
Or a John Bowie knife.
or Bowie knife or whatever. So
Well, and the only thing that I had ever heard of any military member ever, every once in a while there's small little protests from some hippies out in Italy. Near the base. And they would just shut things down and, okay, it'd go away in a
we
day.
had protesters in Japan.
But then we would hear about military guys in France. And they're like, don't ever go to Paris. You will be hassled.
oh boy,
Ask for directions. They'll give you the wrong directions. They might start making fun of you. They might talk about you. They might, just whatever. Just don't go to Paris.
wow.
Other
You're
than
on
that-
your own in Paris, huh?
Yeah, other than that, I never heard of any major issues around the world, if you will.
Yeah. You got to
the
be
military.
old enough. For all you people that are in your 30s and 20s, you have no clue. Pre 9/11, the world, there was very little of any problems with anything in the world.
So check this out. November 7th, Donald Trump goes on SNL. Well, this reporter asked him about it and what he thought.
November 7th?
November 7th,
Last year?
this year.
It's October.
November.
You mean he's going on?
Yeah, what did I say?
Oh, I thought you were making it sound like he was on it.
No, he's going on it,
okay,
but this
he's going.
reporter asked him about it.
Okay.
And so he kind of talked about it. And the only reason why I bring this up because this has to do with Jebby.
Okay.
Oh, Jebster. So here's the sound clip of him having this conversation with her.
I look forward. Lorne Michaels is a terrific guy, a very talented guy, and he called me and he said, would you do Saturday Night Live? And it's an honor to do it.
Got any impressions under your belt?
No, I don't know. They're going to give me something. That's
Hillary
not gonna
did
be,
you. Will you do her?
That's right. Well, I would do her. I would certainly do her. They
Can
won't-
I see it?
No, you're not going to see it now. We'll have to save that for Lorne.
What about Jeb?
Well, I'm amazed at how he's not resonated.
Do you
I
have an
don't know.
impression of him?
No, I don't. Well, I don't want to be wise. I was going to fall asleep on the chair, but I didn't want to do that.
Oh, there you go. Wow.
I was going to do an impression of Jeb by falling asleep in the chair.
That's perfect. I'll take it.
So he said he would do Hillary. He'd definitely do her.
I
said.
wouldn't do her.
No.
You wouldn't do her either?
No, I don't have a cackle at all.
Okay.
I mean, what kind of impression could you do of her? Or do?
I don't know
For her.
how
What
I
could you
could be
do to
annoying
her?
enough to, yeah. So, Yeah, that's
Okay, so here's Chris Wallace's take. After he plays the interview, he's in his showroom, on his show on Sunday, talking to his panel. And this is what Chris Wallace has to say to wrap it up, if you will,
Okay.
with his little interview with Trump.
All of us dismissed Trump early on. All of it, the so-called experts, his summer fling, momentary amusement. As I watched that interview and I heard what he had to say about the country and about trade and about losing and just the sheer force of his personality, I am beginning to believe he could be elected president of the United States.
how is he just beginning? Look, I'm not saying that I'm all in for Trump or anything like that, but what does that say? I mean, we watch this every day. We watch.
Right.
I read almost every one of his
Right.
retweets. I
amazing.
read so many articles, but most importantly, I listen to what he has to say whenever he's interviewed. I listen very carefully during the debates. How could you just now be saying, I really think he might be able to do it? I mean, it's like this, you are so stuck on establishment. That's what
Right,
it is.
right.
Whoa. Wait, if you're not a trained Yale lawyer
Right.
with 20 years of nonstop elected position experience,
Right.
what are you even doing here? You're clearly just trying to sell a book.
Right. Shouldn't know.
That's what they accused Herman Cain of doing, and they were kind of right, and that's kind of unfortunate that he just kind of... I remember as soon as they said, is he even running? He was like leading in all the polls, and finally somebody said, is he even running, or is he just trying to drum up interest in a book he's writing or something like that? And all of a sudden, boom, just like that, he was gone. And they tried to do that with Trump. And to be honest with you, I think Herman Cain's demise is that he didn't have a campaign organized very well.
Well, and then when the 999 plan came
What's
out,
wrong with that? I mean,
well,
if you
there's
listen
nothing
to
wrong
the
with
substance,
that. There's nothing wrong with it, except the Democrats ran with it on the price of the sale of pizza.
and it worked.
It worked well.
Somehow Trump is able to snake. Like, to be honest with you,
Trump could
bashing-
come out the 999 and Trump could snake it.
he could figure out how to snake away from the attacks on it. Because
Right.
I'm gonna be honest with you, this is one of the biggest bridge abutments that he's skimmed up against so far,
skimmed it.
bashing Bush.
Yeah.
But then early this morning, really early, I'm like sleeping. I get woke up by tweets from Trump because
Right.
he doesn't sleep. Did you know he is a robot? Like, if you look at his tweets, he's clearly a robot.
And I've said it before, he has to have an arsenal of a team.
He wouldn't allow it.
No, and he wouldn't. And the tweets that do come out, you know it's him.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Because anyway.
So this week, a lot of people have been talking about Trump, Carson, 2016.
We talked about that on the show before.
Okay, well, this week come up in NBC or CNBC
Hold
said
on.
said that we're going to change the format of the next debate.
Okay.
So Trump and Carson both came out
Oh, right.
together and said, "Oh hell no, we're protesting. We ain't showing up.
Boycotting.
We're
it.
boycotting."
Yeah.
So they here's what.
Could you imagine?
Slow
Hold
it
on.
down.
Hold on. Let's everybody close your eyes real quick and imagine that they're going to do a debate
CNBC,
with Carly Fiorina,
right? Jebby,
Ted Cruz, Jeb, Marco, Christie, Lindsey Graham. I mean, who else we got?
No, the rest of them dropped out.
Oh, Kasich?
No, he dropped out.
No, he didn't.
He ain't in it to win it.
Well, none of them have enough points to be
To
in
win
it. Did you hear Kasich has raised like the third most amount of money out of all the...
And nobody's voting for him.
Who are sending these people this money? Like, they have no support.
The establishment.
I guess. But anyway, yeah, could you imagine watching a debate like that?
And I'm going to tell you right now, folks, if you want to become wealthy, get plugged in and start running for a race. Because you'll get money, and whatever money you don't spend and you don't win, you get to keep.
Oh, well, there you go. I'm running for president, by the way.
And you get to keep it.
All right.
Not only that, but you'll get federal government matching dollars up to X amount of money to
That's just
to make you viable. Like run for local mayor. you'll get government grants and government money to match up to the other guy.
I was wondering how Matt McGowan did.
Yeah, buddy. So anyway, CNBC said, here's what we want. And Trump and Carson both said, no. Here's our demands. We're not doing it.
Wait, I got something to add to that. It was CNBC?
Yeah.
CNBC came out initially and said, this is our format. They all agreed to it. They all agreed to it.
Right, and Trump and Carson said,
What?
I don't know who you're talking about. You ain't talking about me.
Yeah, he said, you guys didn't even talk to us.
Said, that don't make no never mind over here.
Yeah, so literally, CNBC lied and said that everybody agreed to it when really they were just saying everybody agreed to it, but they didn't. So
CNBC was going to go to a 3-hour format. Yeah, 3-hour tour.
Oh my
on a
goodness.
tiny ship.
They were going
the SS Minnow.
Oh my God. They were going to do it on a deserted island. And it was going to be Survivor.
Right, reality.
But
Survivor
instead of
reality.
voting them off, they have to kill each other.
Correct. So they want to do a 3-hour tour, and Trump and Carson both came out and said, no. Has to be less than 120 minutes, was 2 hours. CNBC was charging in the last debates that were only 2 hours long. They were charging $200,000 per 30-second commercial.
For the Republican.
During the debate. During Republican. Yeah, no, we're not talking about Democrat debate yet.
They couldn't get any money for that.
Right. So they were charging $200,000 per 30-second ad. Originally, the debate was only supposed to last for about 2 hours, like the first original debate. But the network was wanting to increase the length to 3 hours, attempting to sell more ads because of the higher ratings.
Oh, that's so messed
They were going to blow it through the roof. And and that was something else, too. They said no opening statement and no closing statements.
No. The closing and opening statements will be they'll be included in the 100.
Right. There'll be no separate. What Trump and Carson both said, there will be a separate open and a separate closing statement.
Right. But
CNBC was going to eliminate that.
No, they were going to say, okay, 120 minutes, but the closing and opening statements are outside of that.
Oh!
They wanted to add another hour by saying, oh, no. The debate is 2 hours.
Right.
But opening and closing statements, those are not part of the debate, so they're outside of the 120 minutes.
And they said the commercials were outside the 120 minutes, too. And Carson and Trump both said no. Open, closing, and commercials all inclusive within 120 or less.
Wow. And that's great.
They come out. Who do you think won?
They had to win.
They caved.
They
caved.
have to cave.
They caved. How would you not? And how would you hold out? How would you hold out?
Well, they could agree to go ahead and let them boycott and say we're still doing 3 hours. The amount of money that they would lose doing that would be incalculable.
Right.
So, no, that's great that they were able to do that.
I don't
That's
know.
the amount of power that they have. Did you hear what CNN said? Okay.
I can only imagine.
All right. First of all, it's not what you think.
Okay.
CNN panel on CNN. I don't remember who it was, but it doesn't matter.
That doesn't even matter because you don't need to know who it is either.
Because they were speaking on behalf of CNN.
Okay.
They had huge numbers for the Democratic debate.
Oh, you're not going to believe it. It was the largest Democrat numbers for any Democrat debate ever.
So guess what they said about it to explain it?
What'd they say?
They gave Trump the credit.
Yes.
Can you believe
They
that?
said Trump won the debate.
No, they said they credited.
There was an article that came out afterwards the day later said Trump wasn't even in the debate and yet had the greatest one-liner.
That's right.
In the debate on Twitter.
Okay, so Trump did win the debate, but CNN came out and said our record 17 million views is thanks to Trump
saying that he was going to tweet
during the debate. Oh my gosh. I was beside myself.
So now the real numbers.
I had to crack up about that.
More people watch CNCSI, whatever those shows are. More people watch that show than the Democrat debate.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And the numbers of the Democrat debate versus the Republican debate aren't even close. The Republican debate was at least 3 times as much.
Well, not only that, but CSI, NCIS, all those shows, their numbers were higher. Guess why?
Why?
Because people went and made it a point to watch the debates.
And then it fell asleep like Jeb Bush.
No, they said, I got to change the channel.
Woke up, it was still on.
So
It's like, change it.
No, but then that would show up as ratings for the debate.
Oh, that's true.
No, they said, all right, let's watch something else. And so they got record numbers. It's like Coke and Pepsi in the same store.
Wow. So, this...
That's why you go head-to-head with the big dogs.
This correspondent on Fox News, her name is Jebediah.
So it's a boy?
Her name is... her name
Oh, she's trans.
Jebediah.
Trans.
No! She is a gorgeous woman with a fiery... she's like 2 foot tall. And she'll take on 9-foot men. She's got a fiery...
Her name is Jebediah Bila.
Bila? Is that how you would say that? Bila?
Or Bila.
Bila. Okay, so this was her take on Clinton in the debate, and this is the only. No, I lie. I have one other sound clip, but this is the only sound clip that I have on Clinton in the debate. I lie again. No, I've got 2 of those. Okay, this is all you need to know.
Just don't listen to anything Brian says when he's speaking.
This is all you need to know. Here's Jebediah.
She wants to run this whole campaign based on the fact that she has a uterus. That's great that you have a uterus. I have one too. I'm a proud female. But that doesn't make you an outsider. Your gender has nothing to do with it. An outsider means you're someone who has tackled business as usual. You're someone that people believe they can send into Washington and they believe will dig their heels in and tackle all of that D.C. establishment nonsense. What does your gender have to do with it? How condescending is that to women?
That's a great
to
point.
say, you know what, this is all about reproductive parts. You're going to come out and vote for me because I'm female? No, I'm not. You're nothing like me.
Don't vote for the uterus.
What is that? Uterus for president.
Well, we do know now that Jebediah Bila has not had a hysterectomy.
No, she currently has a uterus and she's proud of it.
Right. That's good.
She's a little fireball. Oh my goodness! And she likes to take pictures of herself
Actually,
in
this is a
workout attire.
Yeah, this is a professional poster. Yeah, she works out definitely for sure.
Hey, I also follow a couple of the girls on the Fox at 5 on 5
on
Instagram.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah, they Fox.
They post their pictures of themselves and selfies. And
I don't know what
skimpy attire and
when
tight
you look
workout
like that,
clothes. What's the one with the dark hair that's just the hottest one ever?
She's the Greek girl.
Yeah.
She always brags about her Greek heritage. She has black hair.
Oh, let me tell you something.
Oh, I can't remember her name.
Go on to Instagram and you'll see her heritage. You will see it all.
You'll see that she has genetics.
Definitely has genetics. So, during the debate, can you imagine? The email scandal gate came up. Did you know it came up?
Oh, I watched the whole debate.
Yeah. Wow. Whoa. So you were really taking one for the team.
I took one for the team. Yeah, it was interesting. It was a bunch of gobbledygook. We should. You know what I wanted to do? I wanted to have the debate on and then live broadcast from Smith Radio. Just reactions. So through the mic, no audio other than my reactions, so you could listen at home with us.
Wow!
The only problem is the way digital TV
media works
and media in general. It could have been off by 5 seconds, which would be unbelievably annoying. One time, I tried to listen to the broadcast of a Bengals game through iHeartRadio while watching it on TV, and it was maddening. It was so bad. It was so bad because it was like a 20-second delay.
So when you're watching The Wizard of Oz, when the lion roars 3 times on the 3rd roar, hit play on Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Okay. Does that have to be the 3rd roar?
Yeah. And
really?
The whole album, turn the sound down on Wizard of Oz, and the whole album goes along with the movie.
I thought it was from the beginning.
Third Roar.
Really?
Dude, I'm just telling you.
All right.
Pink Floyd.
Somebody told me you play it from the beginning. And
Pink Floyd.
It matches up. But you're saying line comes out, Third Roar.
Right.
I'll try it.
For your homework for the week.
All right. I want you guys to report back to us how that worked out for you.
So Bernie Sanders got heated.
Can I give you my take on the debate?
Bernie Sanders got upset at the debate. He got really mad.
What a surprise. So when I watched the debate, I'll tell you what, tell me if you guys thought the same thing I did, especially compared to the Republican debate. I felt like I was listening to a bunch of gobbledygook.
Yeah, the whole thing was gobbledygook.
Like they were talking, it was almost like, look, we know we're dealing with low information voters here.
Right.
So it doesn't matter what we say, but we have to sound smart, which one of them, by the way, botched that up big time. Did you hear the vote, my dad died vote?
Oh, jeez.
Did you?
No.
You didn't hear that?
No.
Oh, well, he did a bad job. But the rest of them, they started getting, and look, I am not a low information voter, but I did hear stuff that didn't make any sense, that the reason it didn't make any sense is because there was no logic to it. So it didn't make any sense, not because I was too stupid to know what they were talking about.
But they weren't talking about anything.
Because I was too smart to know that I was smart enough to know that they were literally talking about nothing, which is what gobbledygook is.
Right.
And it seemed like Bernie Sanders and Clinton were trying to one-up each other in the gobbledygook.
Was there anybody else on stage besides the two of them?
Well, Webb did some gobbledygook, but he was a far-right conservative Republican, and he was up there. Did you hear about him?
No.
Even Rush Limbaugh said
He should have ran on the Rhino ticket.
He was further right than Christie.
No.
Yes. And he makes Lindsey Graham look like a full-blown communist.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was just like kind of rolling his eyes at everybody's answers. You know what it reminded me of? You remember when Ron Paul ran against everybody back in, I guess it was 2008, primaries, and all of them up there were conservative for the most part, not anywhere near as conservative as
He was
today.
he was blasting them back then.
Yeah, he pretty much came out and said some stuff that forced everybody, all the pundits came out the next day and were like, why is he running Republican? He should be on the... Right. That's what Webb reminded me of. Webb was like, just everything out of his mouth. Even when they said, do Black Lives Matter? That was the question. And all of them, it was so sad. They were all like, yes, Black Lives Matter, which, of course, we agree that Black Lives Matter, too.
All lives matter.
Except
when you're in the parking lot of Planned Parenthood.
They refused to say all lives matter. They refused to say it. They refused to say white lives matter.
Because if they say all lives matter, then that means that they're going against Planned Parenthood.
And even Bernie Sanders was like, Black Lives Matter. And the reason those words matter...
Oh,
yes, that's exactly
Black Lives Matter and the words matter.
He said the reason those words matter. And then he started going into this campaign stump speech about this woman, the woman that got killed. She killed herself in jail.
Because she didn't think she mattered.
Yeah, so she killed herself. Didn't you hear about that? Black woman got arrested. A lot of protests about it. The police brutality, whatever. She goes, all of a sudden she's. It was national news.
And she hung herself.
Hung herself in
right.
prison. Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
He talked about her
because she mattered.
Well,
of course she matters.
All lives matter, including hers.
Right.
But she killed herself. So maybe if she believed that Black Lives Matter, maybe she'd still be alive.
Wow.
So anyway, yeah, it was just a bunch of crap, and they were a bunch of cowards.
Okay, so here's what they were trying to... I don't know what they were trying to do to Hillary, but they were really trying to bring the email thing to light.
I do give Anderson Cooper credit for it.
Well, here's what Bernie did.
Tonight, I want to talk not about my emails, but about what the American people want from the next president of the United States.
Let me say something that may not be great politics.
That's Bernie.
Not Larry.
But I think the secretary is right.
Really?
And that is that the American people are sick and tired of hearing about your damn emails. Enough of the emails. Let's talk about the real issues facing America.
Okay, so she got in a thank you, Bernie, and a...
She said thank you twice. The second one sounded like she had emotion behind it, and it sounded really genuine, which is interesting.
She reached over and to shake his hand, and here's the thing. The thing is that she finally got support to go walk away from the emails.
You know what that second thank you was? It was Sally Field.
You like me. You really like me.
Yeah, and she was crying, and she really was sincere when she said, you like me. You really, really like me.
Right.
And Hillary, she's fake and lying at all times, and she finally got emotional about something that wasn't a lie, and it was, thank you for letting me off the hook.
Well, there's an article that came out this week saying all that was staged.
Well,
they're saying it's all staged to try and get rid of the email scandal, the email gate.
But why would
Bernie? They're saying Bernie was paid.
Okay, well, here's what I think. And Rush Limbaugh all week was saying that Bernie Sanders is not serious about his presidential run because if he was, he would have never said that. And he eliminated, this is Rush Limbaugh
Correct.
Eliminated any possibility for him to be able to beat Hillary because he pretty much paved the way for her to just go all the way to the nomination now.
Right.
I think Rush Limbaugh missed the boat here a little bit on that.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of people out there who are conservative who have never been on the left before. And so it might be hard for you to understand where Bernie's coming from. But I, your awesome host here on Smith Radio, was a bleeding heart liberal for 25 years. I know exactly where he's coming from.
He's circling the wagons.
No.
No?
He really, truly believes that is a non-issue.
Oh!
Just like they believe that there should be no borders. Imagine there's no countries.
Oh, right.
Imagine there's no religion.
No.
You got to go straight to the national anthem or the world anthem of communism, which is John Lennon's Imagine. He's annoyed by this. He is genuinely annoyed by the fact that somebody could be in trouble for completely having a wide open, easily accessed computer server that has state information on it.
Right.
He's annoyed by that. He's annoyed. And in addition to that, since he is full-blown communist, full-blown,
right,
and he's the only one who's running on a full-blown communist ticket,
right,
that he really truly believes that it doesn't matter what anybody else does, he's got the best message, and that's why he's going to win. He's already comparing his rallies to her rallies.
Right.
He is not concerned about whether or not this email Servergate ruins her.
Right.
As far as he's concerned, she doesn't even have to have Servergate.
No.
He's getting 60,000 people to his rallies. She's getting 200. Her book sales don't get anything. Nobody cares what she says. Anywhere she goes, nobody shows up. He's got tens of thousands of people clamoring.
He's raking in money.
He's getting
Big
money,
time.
like $50 on average per person from tens of thousands of people have been.
Woo!
Why does he think?
I mean, there's money coming in from China.
Why would he need to destroy her on something he doesn't even believe in?
Right.
He doesn't believe that she should even be in trouble for that stuff.
Right.
He doesn't need. Why would he suddenly pile on there? He is annoyed by it. He was genuinely annoyed by that, and he wanted to throw that out there. And let me tell you something. By him doing that, by him interrupting her and commanding attention from Anderson Cooper at that particular moment, just by saying, hey, excuse me, I want to say something, and Anderson Cooper saying, whoa, everybody shut up. The man's got something to say. To me, that shows leadership.
Right. No, absolutely.
He definitely displayed the alpha male leader position in that debate, and that's why
didn't.
That's why I think he won it.
Well, all his minions, right after the debate, threw a celebration party.
I wish I could do a minion impersonation. Yeah, whatever. My daughter could do it perfectly. I wish I could because I would have done it right there. But yeah, his minions.
They all threw a celebration party that he won. Everybody who is a Bernie Sanders fan said he won the debate hands down.
I think that Hillary Clinton looked better and sounded better and did all the better things. And if you think that the Servergate is a serious issue, you have to love what Bernie Sanders did.
Oh, yes.
Rush thinks that Bernie Sanders threw it all away. Anybody who is a Hillary supporter has got to be like, yeah, we
finally
won.
we're done with the Servergate.
So, in a way, depending on where your head's at, that person won. So if you're a Hillary supporter, or if you hate Hillary and you think, my gosh, this Servergate thing is going to completely ruin her, you think she definitely won.
Right.
Bernie Sanders supporters, communists, all those people, they're like, my gosh, how could you not see that Bernie Sanders won? He was the alpha male. He was the alpha dog, and he imposed his leadership on everybody there.
Hey, did you know this hour is brought to you by the RNC?
RNC?
Yeah, the Republican National Committee, and this is their commercial. They're supporting this hour.
I did not email any classified material to anyone.
A federal government watchdog has determined there was classified information.
Did in fact contain classified information.
Total lack of accountability. It's like my problems have nothing to do with me. They have to do with the Republicans.
They're playing it off as if it's a partisan witch hunt.
Now you have the FBI and the New York Times chasing this story.
Those are not partisan organizations.
You think the American public is that stupid?
The Republican National Committee is responsible for the content of this advertising.
There you go. The FBI is coming down with a criminal investigation on this woman.
If she doesn't, I don't know what kind of punishment she could get.
They're saying she faces 10 years in prison.
I'll feel pretty bad if she got like a full 10 years in prison. What did Petraeus get? I mean, he was forced to resign. And
he
all
was
that
a fraction of a fraction. I've got all kinds of details.
He's got the ankle brace.
Right, right. Well, apparently, there's all kinds of stuff going on. There's a double standard here. The chief intelligence correspondent, Heritage, she reported on something called a double standard. There was another government employee called Sterling who was in a similar situation. She was on Hannity this week, and they were going back and forth on it. And Hannity asked her during her report at Heritage and her reporting, what is the deal with the email gate, and why should this be such a big deal? You know, because a lot of people, well, maybe not a lot of people, there are people out there that are wondering, is this really as big as it should be? And so this was her answer on the email gate to Hannity on Hannity's show. And this really sets the stage. Whether she goes to jail, whether she gets electrocuted, I don't know.
She might get electrocuted just at home or something.
Right.
Accidents happen.
I don't know what's good. But honest to goodness, folks, this email thing is so far off the hook, and something needs to be done about it. So this is Heritage, senior correspondent, very militant in her reporting. And I hang on to every word. She's that good.
This is really a huge double standard, a big story today.
Well, it's very important. Speaking at the press club here in Washington today, these whistleblowers said they were aggressively prosecuted under the Espionage Act for sharing information with working journalists to expose alleged government misconduct.
Powerful and politically connected individuals accused of the same and much worse conduct receive, at most, a slap on the wrist. Hillary Clinton, she got a primetime TV apologist political spin interview from President Obama himself.
Former CIA officer Jeffrey Sterling was sentenced in May to 3.5 years in prison for violating the Espionage Act and giving classified information to a New York Times reporter about Iran. Sterling was also convicted on obstruction of justice charges because a single email was missing from his account, even though the government could not show he was responsible. Former senior NSA official Thomas Drake was indicted in 2010 under the Espionage Act for sharing information with a Baltimore Sun reporter. Nothing there was classified. Compare that to the Clinton emails, more than 400 containing classified information on her personal unsecured server. And while Mrs. Clinton's go-to explanation is that nothing she sent or received was marked classified, the Drake and Sterling cases show that's no excuse under the law.
Yeah.
This is a Secretary of State, one of the most targeted individuals by other intelligence agencies and entities in the world, using a private server to traffic in highly sensitive information. And no doubt, including classified information, and no doubt, information including sources and methods. But hey, I'm Secretary of State.
It was a press
Even
conference.
Obama gave her cover.
It was a press conference.
All of the charges were eventually dropped against Drake, who pled guilty to a misdemeanor, but in the process, he lost his job, his government clearance, and his life savings on his defense, Sean.
Catherine, that is an unbelievable double standard. We already knew what had happened to David Petraeus. The allegations for Hillary are far worse, though.
They are, and based on our reporting here at Fox News, what we understand now is that the FBI is very focused on a provision of the Espionage Act. It's 18 U.S. Code 793, subsection F. And this deals with the gross negligence in the handling of classified information. So in other words, Sean, if an official has a security clearance and has this information, they act so irresponsibly that the information is compromised.
And Hillary's first statement was very clear: I never sent or received classified emails. Then it became never knowingly sent or received classified emails.
And then marked, said they were not marked. But here's the bottom line. It doesn't matter what the markings are. It's the content that matters. And in these cases, these whistleblowers were prosecuted, and it was not classified or it was not marked classified. So the question is, will the law be applied in a universal way, and that there's not a double standard, sort of a law for the common guy and then a law for the politically elite like Mrs. Clinton?
Okay, so negligence. Doesn't matter if she knew.
This is the biggest.
What she knew. She didn't have to know if it was classified or not classified. She didn't have to know any of that. That's irrelevant. And she's throwing that out as smoke and mirrors to get you to think about something else. What they're saying, the gross negligence of the handling of emails in general.
Right. And that I don't think she's like Julius Rosenberg. I don't think that she sought out foreign enemies to
I think she did. I believe that she was in contact with the Ayatollah Khomeini through email, through Iran, Iraq, Syria.
She's not Obama. I don't think that's her style. You think she would find our worst enemies to give our secrets away to? I mean, Obama would, absolutely. I don't think it's her MO.
I think she would do it through email. Obama just does it through delegation, through his minions. See, she needs more minions. She's only got one minion and an email account.
Who's her minion?
You know, Huma.
Oh, yeah.
Abadan.
She is just one. You know, her plate is full.
Anthony Weiner's wife.
Mrs. Weiner.
Mrs. Weiner. Why do they call her Huma Abadan and not Mrs. Weiner?
Would you want to be called Weiner?
Well, you married it.
Well, she said, you know what? I'll tell you what. I'll marry you, but you got to let me keep my last name.
Julia Gulia.
Who's Gulia?
The Wedding Singer with Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
He's sitting there, and, you know, he's wanting the girl, but she's getting ready to get married, and they're at dinner, having dinner. And Adam Sandler said, so what's your last name, brah? To the fiance. He's like, I'm Mike Gulia. And he's like, then that means you're going to be Julia Gulia?
Oh, my gosh. Not good. Not good.
You know what? Guys don't think about that kind of stuff. We really, really, really don't.
Because our names don't change.
Women absolutely obsess over that.
Yeah. Yeah, Rachel thought about it. Well, and then it goes right to when the kids are born. What name is going to sound okay?
Oh, yeah. When we picked out our kids' names, it had to be, you know, rhythm to it. Absolutely.
Right.
Julia Gulia. Mrs. Weiner. your hot dogs are ready. Come to the hot dog stand. This wiener.
No. Wow.
I have an application here for Mrs. Wiener. Yes, we will hire you at cons because we need a spokesperson with the last name Wiener.
She is Mrs. Wiener.
Did you know that Anthony Weiner recently got a job at a PR firm?
I did not know that.
Public relations, high-profile public relations firm. He was there for 2 months
before
he got fired.
Oh my gosh!
They said you're too high-profile for us to keep you on at this firm. This high-profile firm. Wow. When they hear that you're one of your PR, your public relations guys, his name is Anthony Weiner.
You gotta change your name when
he's got to change his name.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Anthony
Why
Weiner.
Do you think Humadin?
Anthony Weiner sending pictures over the internet of his wiener.
He did do that.
What?
In his underwear.
Right. This is politics. These are politics, elected officials.
It was a dating site or something like that.
Yeah.
Underage girls and
I
don't know if that was. I think it was. They were very young girls. I think. But anyway, so that's your elected officials up there in was it New York?
Yes.
Wow.
So check this ad out. There's another ad that came out against Hillary. I'm just feeling like I'm in a Hillary mode because I really, 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 really think that there's a nice warm place in hell for her.
I just think she's incompetent. She doesn't know how to do anything. But you're right. She's evil because of her insatiable thirst for desire.
Yeah.
Or for power. Yeah.
Desire for power, yeah. So there's a commercial out for Stop Hillary PAC, where I'll play it for you, but listen to the guy speaking, and they'll go in order. The first person that speaks is Glenn Doherty. Second person that speaks is Tyrone Woods. Third person that speaks is Sean Smith. And the fourth person that speaks is J. Christopher Stevens, U.S. Ambassador to Libya.
Oh, the one that got killed.
So you're saying...
So the last one's...
Right. Well, it shows a picture of them with the voice in the background. So obviously they're dead, and they're doing like a reenactment, like they're speaking from heaven.
Are all of them dead?
Yeah. Okay. They were all killed in
Benghazi.
Okay.
I
right.
Gotcha.
And so they're all speaking from heaven, if you will, through this commercial.
Dear Hillary Clinton, I'd like to ask you why you ignored calls for help in Benghazi, and then 4 Americans were murdered.
I'd like to know why you lied, saying the attack was a response to an internet video.
I'd like to hear why you tried to silence the Benghazi whistleblower.
But Mrs. Clinton, I can't. What difference does it make?
Stop Hillary PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
I didn't know there was...
They showed a tombstone. They showed Christopher Stevens' tombstone.
Yeah. I didn't know that there was a Benghazi whistleblower. Who are they referring to?
We played a...
what were they blowing the whistle on? Like what...
We played a clip of him. He's out somewhere out in Oklahoma somewhere.
But what did he
do? On local Oklahoma news. Right. Well, apparently he was coming out and saying that, all this stuff could have been prevented. Me and my crew, me and my team, 20 minutes went by, 25 minutes went by.
Right.
We defied orders. We got in the vehicle. We literally gun battled these normal Muslim Islamic people. They're not extremists. They're normal. Battling them in the streets of Benghazi.
All while believing that any second they were going to get back up.
Right. I don't know which one it was. It might have been Tyrone Woods, but one of the Special Forces military guys that was killed, literally he was killed because he was painting the target.
He thought air support was coming.
Air support was coming.
I think he was told that they were on their way, and so he painted the target, and he waited, and he waited,
and when you paint the target, what happens? You give away your position.
That's right. You got a very short period of time before if the airstrike doesn't happen, then
he'll find out where they can see you in the middle of the night. They can see
have
where you
night
are.
vision goggles.
Oh, yeah.
If you've ever wore night vision goggles,
They've got night vision goggles supplied to them by the United States military.
of course. But if you've ever used night vision goggles before, even the faintest infrared light, the most faint infrared light, would look like a giant bright white floodlight while you're looking through the night vision goggles. And in fact, a lot of people don't know this, but night vision goggles come equipped with a floodlight. And the way it works is it's like it's a red LED light, and if you hold it right up to your eyeball, you could kind of faintly see it turn on when you hit the on button.
Really?
If you don't have night vision goggles on and you're more than a foot away from it, you can't even see it on. That's how faint it is. When you put the goggles on and you click the on button, the whole place lights up.
Wow!
So you can imagine what a laser looks like.
Yeah.
It would look like a beacon.
Look, there's the sun. It's on.
the sun's coming up.
Shoot the sun.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So the whistleblower is running up the streets doing a Rambo battle with guns blazing, trying to knock these terrorists out to get to the Christopher Stevens, the ambassador, to save him, not knowing that by the time he got there, he was raped, beaten by Muslim men, raped, beat, and killed him and drug him through the streets.
Yeah, they abused his corpse and everything.
These aren't extremists. These aren't extremists. These are
protesters. The protesters.
It was because of that video. The video. They saw the video.
There's a new show on right after Meet the Depressed. Back up until like maybe a week or so ago, or a couple weeks ago, when Meet the Depressed was over, you were done. You were just watching regular programming, and there was no political news on. Now there's a show on right after it, and I'll tell you what, I was pretty impressed. They did a timeline of events from Benghazi, including one at a time, in order, chronological order of major events, such as the administration coming out and saying it was a video, and then being told that it was a protest based on this video. And then when they were, the next line item would be that they were called out on it not being the video. And then Obama comes out and reiterates that it was definitely the video. And just, it was ridiculous.
Chief correspondent, Catherine Heritage, which we just played, that was talking with Hannity, she reported and came out within the next day reporting that it was not a spontaneous and that it was a terrorist attack. That's how good she is. She had intel. She was involved in State Department. She was involved. She had, inside information, if you will, and reported the facts. When you find people that report facts that lend that credibility and you see them lending that credibility, you can't help but to stay with them. That's why CNN and MSNBC and CNBC, that's why they've lost all their viewers. They're not credible anymore. Absolutely discredible, if you will.
Right.
So check this out. The State Department came out this week on Clinton's emails and, quote, "We can't find enough staffers to process all these emails," end quote. She turned over 55,000 pages in December, and her top aides turned over tens of thousands of pages this year, leaving the department completely overwhelmed. No way to process all these emails. Tens of thousands of pages. I don't get it. It blows my mind. And to say that there's nothing in there and that she shouldn't be prosecuted. I mean, the one guy went to jail for 3 years. He went to prison for 3 years for minimal, a fraction. Even the stuff that he shared with a news reporter about the government. He's blowing whistles on the government. The stuff he shared with the news reporter about being, I mean, I guess he would be a whistleblower, was not classified. So that news reporter could have found that stuff anyways. And yet he did 3 years in prison.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, if Hillary Clinton does not get her just punishment, if justice isn't served properly. I mean, if you look at what others have done with similar offenses, and what they got as punishment. If Hillary doesn't get that minimum, it's just a travesty.
Right.
There's just
no question.
Just turn the flag upside down on the flagpole.
Screaming for help. So speaking of that, screaming for help and international stuff, Syria is completely falling apart, and that's all because of thanks to Hillary and Obama. However,
does Putin have anything to do with it?
Yeah, he does a little bit. However, something went down in Israel. Something pretty big.
Okay, I did see that some gunfire in there.
Well, there was a bombing. There was an explosion.
Okay,
and I don't know if you know the story of Joseph back in the Old Testament. Joseph had a lot of brothers, and Joseph was the youngest one, and he had these dreams, and that God would come to him through these dreams saying that you'll be a king and your brothers will bow down to you and all these different things. And so he would go and mock his brothers and make fun of his brothers and tease his older brothers. He would tease them that he was the chosen one. And his dad even gave him, preferential treatment, things like that. But anyways, his dad gave him a cloak, a real nice robe to wear. And so his brothers tricked him out into the desert and sold him into slavery, but took the cloak back to his father and said that, hey, he was eaten by lions. He's dead. He's gone. But they sold him into slavery. So, long story short, he winds up being the second in command in Egypt. And while his brothers in their homeland and the famine came through and everything was completely falling apart, his brothers and his family, who were wealthy at one time, came to Egypt and wound up asking the brother who they didn't recognize for help and assistance, and he fed and clothed and took care of him. And he's like, yeah, hey, by the way, I'm that little brother y'all made fun of. Now look at me now. I really did. It all came to pass. Anyways, this is a very, if you read the story, you really get into the Old Testament, which the Jewish culture does. Israel and the Jewish culture is all about the Old Testament. And a lot of symbolism, things like that. So apparently this site supposedly contains the remnants or the body of Joseph.
Really?
It's a holy site. It's a very holy site. Well, leave it to those damn Palestinians. So the Times of Israel is reporting that the Palestinian arsonists have set fire to Joseph's tomb, causing heavy damage to the site that is revered by Jews and Christians as an absolute holy site. The site is said to house the remains of the biblical patriarch Joseph, who, according to the Old Testament, was sold into slavery by his brothers, eventually becoming the chief advisor to the Pharaoh. The tomb is located in the West Bank, where there's been a lot of violence, a lot of clashing. I don't know if you heard recently, but Israel is completely under attack on all sides. It's the only democracy in all of the Middle East. It's probably the only democracy in the world except for ours. And they are being hammered because they love the Lord.
Okay.
They're being hammered and killed and done away with because they have a love for a peaceful God. Crazy. Absolutely insanity. So the Palestinians who are Muslim are coming after them hardcore. You've got Iran coming after them. Anybody who's Muslim, ISIS, all of them. The Ayatollah Khomeini, who is the head chief leader of Iran, the religious leader of Iran, has already claimed that within, 10 years, 20 years, there will be no Israel. It will be wiped off the earth completely. And so on Monday, Ahmad and his 15-year-old cousin, Hassan, stabbed and seriously wounded two Israelis, including a 13-year-old boy in Jerusalem. Hassan was shot dead by the police, and the other one, Ahmad, was running from the cops, and he got hit by a car.
Oh, jeez.
So there's a viral video that was obviously state-driven video. They went viral in Palestine showing Israeli bystanders cursing the boy in Hebrew and yelling at him, die, die, die. The images made no mention of the stabbing, and the video enraged the Palestinians even more. That was Monday. So Palestinians are coming for the Israelites or Israelis. So Thursday, the Palestinian president ignited an uproar in Israel after falsely claiming that Israel executed that 13-year-old boy.
I did hear about that.
They killed him!
Then Netanyahu had to come out and make a statement.
Oh, he did. No, absolutely he did. So 2 Palestinian men, one tried to stab a cop. The other one tried to stab a 72-year-old Jew. And both were shot dead. Right after that 72-year-old was stabbed, UC Berkeley, here in America, the People's Republic of California, they had a protest, like immediately after that 72-year-old was stabbed. And this is what the soundbite, the video of this protest.
Free, free Palestine! Free.
So he said, Netanyahu, how many kids did you kill today? And then he screams, free Palestine. Okay, here's the second part of that clip.
Intifada, we support the Intifada. Let the people of Palestine hear you. Intifada, we support the Intifada.
Okay, so I had to look that up. What is it? Intifada. Whatever. Intifada. Intifada. It's an Arabic word literally meaning tremor, shivering, shuddering. It is derived from an Arabic term meaning to shake, shake off, or get rid of, as a dog might shake off water, as one might shake off sleep or dirt from one's sandals, and is a key concept in contemporary Arabic usage referring to a legitimate uprising against oppression. This, technically, they're calling the third Intifada, which is the third time they've done this. The first one, Palestinians are claiming, the first one, Palestinian uprising against Israeli occupation in 87 and 93. And then the second one was a period of intensified Israeli-Palestinian violence, began in 2000 and ended around 2005. In the 14th of May in 1948, Palestinian Arab economy collapsed. 250,000 Palestinian Arabs fled or were expelled from where Israel is now. And on May 14th, 1948, day before the expiration of the British mandate, Israel declared the state, the establishment of the Jewish state, to be known as the State of Israel. That's when Israel came about. The Palestinian completely collapsed and were gone. Now they say that they want all that back. And they say that all Jews must die.
Well, who isn't saying that, right?
Right. So on CCTV, in local streets where they've got cameras in Israel, they've got cameras on the streets and stuff, it shows a Palestinian man charging and swinging a knife at Jews just standing waiting for a bus. Just swing. Like the guy's running. The people at a bus stop, like an American bus stop with a little shade, the people sitting down. And this dude, this crazy man, is swinging a knife. There's knives everywhere. People are swinging. Palestinians are swinging knives everywhere this whole week.
You know, living in a state like that, a country like that, kind of reminds me of when I went to Kings Island yesterday for the Haunt.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to that?
No.
Well, as you're walking through the park, at any moment, a hired person, completely dressed head to toe,
stick you with a knife.
Nah, not stick you with it. But they could just come and scare you.
Okay.
Okay. Now, me being an adult, I'm just like, ha ha ha, whatever. But to the kids,
it
was nonstop, head on a swivel, nonstop. They were never at ease. They were always like, where are they? They're gonna get us. Because the park, you know how big Kings Island is. It was. There had to have been hundreds of these people.
Dressed up
from head to toe in really scary outfits, really risky. And what they'll do is they'll sneak up on little kids and go, ah! And then the kids scream and some of them run. And there were some people that were just full out sprints.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I saw this girl. Oh, she was with, you know how.
But you know that it's a haunted place.
But they're like in junior high. Yeah. I saw this girl. She was with her pack. And sometimes.
Her crew?
Well, no. The reason I say pack. Or flock herd, if you will.
Depending on their size.
Okay, herd was probably a bad word.
The individual size could be a herd if you're...
Right. However, this herd, they were all freaked out, and they were going to do whatever the rest did. And when 3 of them went, they were all like, we're going.
Oh, stampede.
It was a stampede.
So it was a herd.
But there was a post. And as they're running at a dead sprint, their head was 180 degrees behind them. Their head was turned all the way around.
There's a song that says, Oak Tree, You're in My Way.
That's right. Dude, this post, it was a 6x6. It was holding up a roof.
Oh, no.
And I saw it coming. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And they didn't care. They were screaming, blood-curdling screaming, just... Boom! This girl got it upside the face.
Well, dude, that could turn dangerous.
Yeah. Well, most people don't react that way. No, but my point is I was observing. As an adult, none of this stuff scared me. And to be honest with you, the people that scare people, the monsters,
right?
They don't even try with the older people because they know they're not going to react. But they go right after the kids, right? So I'm watching the kids. I'm like, and the way you just told that story about what's going on in Israel, I bet you it's like that nonstop. Everybody, there could be a guy swinging a knife at any moment in any place. I could be waiting here for the bus, and somebody could swing a knife. And to see how the little kids were reacting at Kings Island,
that's how they were reacting
to a monster that could just come out of nowhere.
Right.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine living your whole life like that?
So a former U.S. school principal was critically injured after a pair of Palestinian men boarded a bus in Jerusalem and began shooting and stabbing passengers.
So he boarded the bus.
You got on a bus,
you
started shooting and stabbing.
A gun and a knife?
Shooting and stabbing.
Oh my goodness.
Right. So John Kerry,
Oh, did he send James Taylor?
Right.
You got a friend.
So John Kerry said, yes, I will be meeting with
Genghis Khan,
Benjamin Netanyahu, and Mahmoud Abbas to patch it up.
He's definitely going to be calling James Taylor.
Senator Ted Cruz came out and said it's calling for Secretary Kerry to resign.
Yeah.
Over the comments senior Obama officials made accusing Israel of committing terrorism amid all the violent attacks by Palestinians against Jews. Palestinian terrorists have murdered at least 8 Israelis and wounded dozens over the last week. Palestinian leaders are calling on citizens to commit more violence.
This reminds me of a fight that broke out at West High one time.
Okay.
So this fights broke. I don't know who the other guy was, but I knew who one of them was.
Okay.
I knew him real well. Been coaching him for years. And they were just, fists were flying, just punch, back and forth. They were in a all-out brawl. And a teacher came around the corner and was like, hey! And as soon as they heard the hey, they jumped away from each other, started pointing, and said, it was him!
Right.
Well, somebody had to start it.
Right. Somebody had to start it.
And if you were the one that started it, you would definitely be...
blame the other guy.
Oh, yeah. That would be your number one thing. That he did it. And I think that's what's happening with the Palestinians.
No. No, Palestinians are coming into Israel and committing these atrocious acts to innocent people.
But didn't you say then that people are accusing Israel of
terrorism? John Kerry is.
Right.
The administration.
So, if you are a supporter of Palestine
and the Muslim Brotherhood, right,
you would say, look what he did. That's what it is. Look what he did.
But Benjamin Netanyahu is saying, we ain't done nothing yet.
I'm glad you didn't say he said, we ain't in no ways tired.
No. Hillary was not there.
Oh, okay.
Hillary was not there. However, Ron DeMer, who was born in 1971.
Wow, he's pretty young. Who is this?
He is an American-born Israeli political consultant and diplomat who currently serves as the Israeli ambassador to the United States.
Well, he's 40. Actually, no, he's 40. He's 43.
Yeah.
Just get up. He's old enough to be president.
No.
Marco Rubio is 12.
All right. Right.
I mean,
so he's on Hannity's show, on Hannity's regular radio show, and Hannity says to him, hey, Americans would say it's time to rise up in force. So what say you? So here's what he had to say.
No, absolutely, but I think you put your finger on precisely what the problem is, and that is a culture of hatred and incitement within Palestinian society that glorifies killers. This is the main problem. And little kids in the United States, when they grow up, they want to be a doctor, they want to be a professional athlete, they want to be a firefighter, they want to be a successful businessman. These are the heroes that you have within your society. But in Palestinian society, the heroes are the killers, are the mass murderers of Jews. And the ones who are contributing to that is not just the Islamists like Hamas and these other terror organizations. It's the Palestinian Authority itself that names public squares after mass murderers. That's the problem. And unfortunately, this whole problem of incitement and a culture of hatred that glorifies these killers, this has been swept under the rug for years, since Oslo began. Now, what's triggering this, Sean, I want your listeners to understand, is it's not just the general level incitement that we've had for almost a century. And it's gotten worse since the Palestinian Authority took over 20 years ago and the peace process began. The incitement actually got worse, not better. But what's happening now in the last few weeks is they are spreading a lie that Israel is trying to either destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque, a holy site for Muslims, or to change the status quo, and it's a total lie, and they're spreading it. And instead of every responsible leader in the international community telling President Abbas, stop spreading the lies, stop fanning the flames of violence that are leading to these killings, they're basically moving, as I said before, this intellectual laziness that, yeah, everybody's wrong, there's problems on all sides.
Well, can I ask a question? Isn't the Al-Aqsa...
Just one last thing. Look, if something good is going to come from this, and we're not going to be in the same place a year or 2 years or 3 years from now, it's that the world will finally start paying attention to what Palestinian children are learning in their schools, watching on their television programs, looking at in their social media. And if they saw all of these things, they wouldn't be so surprised that they've raised this generation with such hatred and such willingness to commit these acts of violence.
This is how the Muslims raise their children. To hate.
Yeah, and
to
look,
kill.
You get to a certain point in your life, maybe earlier in other parts of the world and other cultures, but, I can relate. You get to a point where you're like, what can I do to make an impact on the world and leave some sort of a legacy that maybe I could be remembered after I'm dead? It's almost like a quest to live forever. So you die. Everybody dies at some point. And are you remembered in some way? What impact did you have on the world? What did you leave behind? And so I could. It's hard to even imagine. But once you hear this guy say all that, it makes sense. I couldn't have made sense out of it without him saying that, right?
Right.
But here in America, we tend to gravitate towards the things eventually, at some point in your life, that is going to help us to leave a legacy for our existence here.
My daughters say that now, at 6 and 7, say, oh, I want to be a scientist. Oh, I want to be this. I want to be that.
But at their age, they might not be thinking to themselves, I want to be a scientist so that 200 years after I die, my name will be in science books. They're not thinking that.
No. I mean,
but eventually they would.
Right.
Eventually, when they get into their 40s and 50s and 60s,
well,
they're going to start thinking, I want to be that guy that leaves a name.
Right. Like I've told them about our great aunt who actually wrote a book.
Right. Published.
Yeah,
right.
Published book, and she's a published writer.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of the other historical accounts of our ancestors and some of the local books. And when they look back and they see our great-grandfather, a picture of him, or even the Smith ice cream delivery ice truck and little things like that.
And that's just little, but if you
that sparks their interest. It sparks their. However, if you and I were sitting, Allah say, we blow things up today.
And every street you drive down or drive past, you're like, oh, yeah, Ahmed.
You see that? Yeah, see my brother? My brother blew that building up. Yeah, 3 years ago. Yeah, they still haven't put it back together.
Well, no, I mean, even if they rebuild wherever, there's a street named after him, and every time you pass, you'd be like, that street right there.
That's named after Ahmed. He took 20 lives with one bomb.
There's probably 19 streets in every single Muslim city
named Ahmed.
After the 19 hijackers on 9/11.
Oh yeah, sure.
I mean, good example. Okay, a good way to do a side-by-side comparison, because we're talking about street names, not in quality of character, but every single city in America, everyone has a Martin Luther King Boulevard or street or road or whatever.
And if you go to the one down in Louisville, Kentucky.
Is it Louisville or Louisville?
It looks like Louisville, but it is pronounced Louisville.
And if you want to know how to do it, if you've never done it before and you want to learn, first you fill your mouth with marbles.
Right, and you just say Louisville.
Try to pronounce it with all the marbles in your mouth.
The only place I've ever known where
Cassius Clay.
Martin Luther King Boulevard has a KFC that delivers. They have KFC little cars.
Did not know that.
And they deliver.
Okay. I didn't. That must be the only one because I've never seen it.
I've never seen another one since.
Okay. All right. So anyway, so Martin Luther King, huge impact on America.
Right.
And, we got a Ronald Reagan Highway in Cincinnati. And I'm sure there's a lot of...
Cross-County Highway. Well, out in California, there's a lot of places named Ronald Reagan.
Okay.
And they wanted to strip the name and all this stuff, replace it with Obama.
And there's a lot of places that are named clearly after somebody's name.
McKinley, schools.
You have no idea what it is.
Harding.
Yeah, and you don't... Well, the presidents, but I mean...
Grove.
But there's a lot of places like Margaret B. Rost. I mean,
I
don't know what that is.
Well, and I throw those names out, and I know the presidents, but I throw those names out because those were successful, if you will, in standard of our society.
In our society, yeah.
They made it to the peak of the highest job, if you will, there is, to lead our nation. Whether they led it the wrong way or the right way, we'll talk about that on Smith Radio. However, they were able to do that, and
somebody thought it was positive.
Correct. At least, well, maybe they did kill people. I don't know. Clintons are responsible for killing a lot of people.
Well, you don't see very many Clinton Boulevards out there.
Whoa. You got a good point on that one.
Yeah.
So, but when you think about that in the cities and the monuments and the things that we put up on high, like the Washington Monument with Washington Monument, or even the Lincoln Memorial, all these things. I mean, these were great men in our society that did a lot of good.
And so we have statues, we have everything named after them, so you can see where the society is in the Middle East when you get stuff named after you for killing yourself in the name of jihad and taking out as many non-Muslims as possible.
Right.
And so that was a very long-winded explanation of his.
But it's absolute insanity.
Audio.
And that's what we're at war with right now. The Muslim community, if you will. I mean, there's no coexisting. I saw a meme earlier this week. It showed all these religions. Christianity gets along with Buddha. Buddha gets along with this, and that one gets all the way down. And then it says all of them, they get along with Muslims. However, Muslims get along with none of them, want none of them, and kill all of them.
Yeah. I mean, that's an issue. That's an issue.
God, sorry. I'm not making this stuff up.
I'll have to talk to I do have a Muslim buddy that's like, people would call him moderate.
Yeah.
Very, very nice guy, easy to get along with. He's doing a great job raising his kids to be really good kids. But he does go to mosque every week, and I mean, wow. I wonder what he thinks about so many Muslims throughout the world who feel like it's their duty to, at the very least, put up a big political fight against non-Muslims at the least. But at the most,
I don't hear Muslim clerics, the imams. I don't hear none of them coming out condemning this stuff.
No, and I should have probably elaborated with the conversation with him. But
what about the killings in Oregon? They 2 weeks ago. The guy, are you a Christian? Yeah, and blows their head off. He is a Muslim. He was a Muslim. He was doing Allah's work.
Right.
Where's that story gone?
Oh, that's gonna be buried.
It is buried.
Once they tried one time to make him a white male.
Oh boy, did they!
They tried one time, and when that
shaved his head, neo-Nazi white man.
Yeah, when they failed miserably to do that, because everybody's like, "Wait a minute! I've seen the real picture of this. He's not white. What kind of reporting is this?" And when that fell flat on its face, they were like,
nothing to see here.
Nothing to see here. That's right.
Nothing to see here.
Nothing to see.
Don't even look this way.
I don't even. All it does is make people put their tinfoil hat on when they start doing crazy stuff like that.
So they don't get in trouble for getting
cover-ups,
trickery,
breed conspiracy theories.
Oh,
it's just like the JFK assassination.
Right.
You know why they covered that up? Why Johnson did?
Why?
Because
it looked better.
Because Lee Harvey Oswald was not only a card-carrying communist.
He came from
Russia. He tried to defect to Russia.
Right.
He went to Russian. Did he go to Russia or did he go to the Russian
he went to
embassy?
Russia. He went to Russia. He actually spent time in Russia.
That's right. He was in Russia for a while. When all this came out to Johnson and the Johnson administration, they all agreed, "Oh my God, if we don't cover this up, the public is going to demand that we nuke Russia. They're going to demand it."
Yeah.
So Johnson, fearing that the public was going to demand that we nuke Russia, covered up the fact that Lee Harvey Oswald was a communist, covered up all that stuff, and everybody was like, whoa. And I don't even know where Jack Ruby comes into this.
Right.
How does some guy, some successful business
local bar owner,
some local,
and everybody knows him. Oh, Jack, yeah, we all know Jack. Everybody knows Jack.
Goes in there and shoots him and is like, I couldn't handle that. As far as we knew, he didn't even vote for JFK. I mean, what is this?
And then had Jack Ruby die.
Oh, he was dying of cancer anyway.
Oh,
he knew he was dying when he killed.
Of course.
Man, how could you not put on your tinfoil hat over that?
Right. Wow.
Anyway.
So over there in Syria, where all the Syrians are running from all the conflict and everything going on, there's a guy named Ian Bremmer. You got to follow him on Facebook. We've followed him, and he put this up. It's sourced from the New York Times, but when he put it up, it was noteworthy. 4 years ago, there were 22 million people living in Syria. As many as 12 million are gone. More than 200,000 have been killed. 7.6 million have fled their homes but still live in Syria. More than 4 million have fled the country. The security vacuum in Syria has attracted a dangerous mix of players. Syria's President Assad is reaching out to old friends. ISIS is entrenched. The U.S. and some allies are involved. Russia's President Putin has charged into the fray. Turkey's president is ordering airstrikes. The Saudis are issuing threats. Iran soldiers are already on the ground. Qatar, Syrian Kurds, and Lebanon Hezbollah. Those are the bad ISIS Muslims that Obama supports with hundreds of millions and millions of dollars.
Billions, I think.
Right.
Billions.
Yeah, and that's why they are also important players in all this. In recent days, we've learned a new military term, deconfliction. Deconfliction is the process of changing a flight path of an aircraft or a weapon to avoid accidental collision. In Syria, this word refers to a lot more than just flight patterns. Given the number of players in this small arena, how will this end? How can it end well?
First of all, we need to get Obama out of there because he's the big enemy. There's two groups of people that I can see so far. This may change, but here at Smith Radio, we believe in two sides to this. One side, you have Obama and ISIS.
Right.
On the other side...
And when we say ISIS, we mean everybody in the Muslim community that supports the jihad.
The caliphate.
The taking over, and Sharia...
And war against the U.S. So.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
So you have Obama and ISIS is on one side. And on the other side is Putin and the American people.
Whoa! Wow.
That's why this is so complicated.
And you know what makes it even more complicated? Even more complicated? Cuba is getting into the fray.
On whose side?
Russia.
What?
Yes!
I am so confused.
With Iran and China.
Oh my God. We can't even have a world war. Because there's no...
Syria, Russia, China, Iran, and Cuba versus ISIS and Obama.
So wait a minute. So Cuba is not on Obama's side?
No, they're on Russia. They're saying that Cuban forces are supporting Russia.
Right, because we also know here at Smith Radio that Obama wants America to be more like Cuba.
Right.
And wants to embrace Cuba and wants people to start going to Cuba again.
Right.
And so has friended Cuba.
Right.
Because he's communist.
Right.
I'll tell you what, he's got an issue because he's communist and he's part of the Islamic jihad.
Right.
We're talking about Obama here. He's a communist Islamic jihadist.
Right.
So...
And he supports Iran.
He's torn.
Well, he supports Iran.
Not the Iranian leader, though.
Obama?
He's the one that's giving him nukes.
Not only that.
I'm thinking of Syria. He's against Assad.
Right.
Because Assad is a puppet of Russia.
Right. Sort of.
I am so confused.
So breaking news. Sunday, Obama signs the Iran nuke deal, officially putting the international agreement into effect.
Which means they're going to start building nukes now.
The president's signature opens the way for Iran to make major changes and underground nuclear facility, heavy water reactor, and site for enrichment uranium. However, the rogue nation will need months to meet those goals and get relief.
We went from
crippling
10 years to months.
Well, we talked about this. They have to meet certain agreements, and then they'll get all their money and get all their stuff. Well, Obama signed the paper, said, "Okay, start
Balls
today."
In your court.
Balls in your court. Okay, so all they have to do is pick up the phone on Monday and phone it in.
What are they phoning in?
Yeah, we did it. It's done. We cleaned it all up.
Well, how do we know?
Because in the agreement, you agreed to allowing us to inspect our own stuff.
Okay, so what did you find?
Nothing.
Okay, so you did all the paperwork?
That's right.
Inspection's done?
That's right. I need my money.
What's the one?
Direct it into a Swiss bank account.
Go ahead and
deposit into XLTT1100.
Okay. Checks in the mail.
Wow. Yeah. No, I already. Don't worry. It's good. I just called U.S. Treasury, and they just brought up 3 more printers online.
You had 3 more printers up, huh?
Online just for this deal alone. Just this deal alone.
Oh my gosh. Why doesn't he cut out the middleman? Why give him the money to purchase the nukes? Why doesn't he just give him nukes?
Well, they tried to do that with Venezuela. Or no, not Venezuela. It was what did I reported on that?
Argentina.
Yeah, the Argentinian president came out and said the Obama administration tried tried to trick us into giving nuclear material to Iran.
That's right. He didn't want to give it to him directly. You know why we can't give him nukes directly?
Why?
He disabled all of ours.
Oh, right.
We're not even
We
in
don't even have
nuclear
any.
power.
We don't
anymore.
even have
We
it.
have no nuke.
Oh.
Did you know the conspiracy theory about the Fort Knox? How there's no gold there?
Okay, so I watched the video. I slipped down the rabbit hole one Saturday morning when it was raining and it was cold out.
Right, right.
And everybody was gone. It was just me in the house by myself.
So you
drinking coffee.
He looked back and forth to make sure he pulled the
string.
blinds.
Yes,
pulled the blinds. All the blinds are down.
I turned all the lights out.
All the lights down. And then he cracks open the old
laptop.
Cracks open the laptop and he types in Fort Knox conspiracy.
I didn't have any tin. So I just fashioned an aluminum foil hat. All crinkly.
Yeah, that was a very disturbing video.
The guy that was videotaping, he said, they're following me. They're following. So he drove around Fort Knox. He's like, yep, see, look, they're coming after me right now. Look, they're following me now. I'm going to turn off this road. Okay, I'm off the road. All right, they're not following me. And then he goes back. He's like, look, they're back on me again. I think they've got me. They've got me spotted.
Is that the same video where they actually try to get access to show?
Yeah.
And they were interviewing people that used to work there, right. And some of them said, "Oh yeah, there was gold from floor to ceiling, more than you'd ever imagine." But then there were more subsequent workers that were like, "Oh yeah, they took all
it's
that
all
out.
gone.
It's all gone.
It's all gone. All of it.
Yikes! It's wherever.
I mean, it's all technically. It's. I mean, it's the backbone of your country, but if you ain't got it and everybody thinks it's there, but it's not there, it's a facade.
How many phones do you think there are in the world right now? I feel like a lot of that gold needed to be melted down to make the gold parts inside these phones or in computers or any electronic components that have gold plating. Obviously, each individual one is going to have a very... like a trace amount of gold in it?
They're saying there's more silver than gold.
In the phones?
Yeah, they're saying silver's going through the roof because of the material.
So percentage-wise, there's more silver.
Roughly 6 billion active cell phones in the world.
Active. And then what about the inactives?
Those are Obama phones.
Oh, no, those are the most active ones. They're going to pay top dollar for those. My goodness, those are going to be the best ones on the market.
There are officially more mobile devices than there are people in the world. So it's
7
so
billion.
Somewhere around the number of active mobile devices and human beings crossed somewhere around 7.19 billion.
Okay, so that being said, if each one has a certain amount of gold in it,
right,
you multiply that 7 billion times. How much gold do we got? I mean, did we have to use a chunk of the Fort Knox gold to make that happen?
Right.
Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But no, okay, so that is the next video, is that the United States has no nukes.
Whoa, yeah,
They've
breaking news on Smith Radio.
And we sent proof of it to Russia as a sign of goodwill.
Of course, we sent him
we're leading from behind.
Right. Obama sent Putin a selfie of him in Fort Knox. So I swear there's nothing here. Look.
No, we're talking about nukes now. Not gold.
Oh, I slipped. Yeah. That was the other selfie he sent. He sent both selfies. He sent 2 selfies.
Wow.
One with no nukes and one with no gold.
I know what happened. We probably do have nukes. Here's what happened. We did that treaty with Russia where we were both going to dismantle a 1-for-1.
Right.
One of our nukes for one of their nukes, dismantle.
Right.
And that's the treaty.
Right.
Obama misread it, and he thought it meant 1 room full of gold for each one.
One bomb.
So he dismantled all the gold.
And then they're like, no, you got to do the bombs. He's like, okay, we'll do those too.
So he did both. We have no nukes, no gold.
Right.
Period. Okay.
Right.
All right. I just want to break that news on Smith Radio.
Texas this week begins secession from the Union.
Again?
Did you...
I hear about Texas seceding from the Union all the time.
Well, they started the ball rolling again.
You know what the low information crowd thinks?
They officially said that we will not comply with any federal mandate that violates the Constitution.
Wait a minute. So if you secede from the Union, that means you're no longer going to operate under the United States jurisdiction.
Federal jurisdiction.
All right. But they're going to follow the Constitution. I almost feel like they're kicking the other 49 states out of the United States.
Oh, that's what they're doing. Breaking news on Smith Radio. Texas kicks everyone out. Texas expels every state, including
49 states.
Well, according to Obama, there's 57. But
50, that's the
57.
My dad pointed out that 57 slip up, he was referring to the 57 Islamic states. And that makes sense.
Right.
So, but anyway, so Texas expels the other 49 states and D.C. All right, I'm with you.
AP Washington, D.C., in a move certainly to fuel the debate over Obama's qualifications for the presidency, Americans for Freedom of Information has released a copy of President Obama's college transcripts from Occidental College.
Wait a minute. Those were the most guarded secrets ever.
Gary Krepp of the United States Justice Foundation has released the results of their investigation of Obama's campaign spending. This study estimates Obama has spent over $950,000 in campaign funds.
Wait a minute. What year was this article? What are we talking about? He's not running.
Hold on. With 11 law firms in 12 different states to block the disclosure of his public records or of his personal records.
Let me tell you something about his public records.
He spent $1 million in these law firms to keep his personal records sealed.
I'll tell you this. If I'm the president of the United States, be it whatever, it could be Carson, it could be Trump, whatever, they need to hire whoever Obama hired to keep email servers and stuff like that secure.
Right.
Whoever it was that sealed his records.
Oh.
Because they are amazing. Freedom of Information Act or nothing.
Well, they're claiming now that they've won and they've been handed over due to Freedom of Information Act. The transcript school indicates that Obama, under the name Barry Soetoro, received financial aid as a foreign student from Indonesia as an undergrad.
Oh, all he has to do is say, okay, so I'm an academic fraud. I defrauded the government for grants. I lied about the fact that I'm a foreigner. I'm not really a foreigner.
Well, he is claiming dual citizenship. And that disqualifies him as president.
Why?
You can't have dual citizenship.
Says who?
There's a lawsuit out on that. There's a couple different firms, like 18 different firms that are suing over the fact that you cannot have dual citizenship and be president of the United States.
But the case isn't over yet. So they could rule that you can. I think they shouldn't.
Right.
I'm just saying that he's not out of the hot water yet.
No.
But here's the thing. If he lied about being a foreigner,
that's all right, whatever. Then he lied about being...
He's still eligible for the presidency.
Well, but he lied about his birth certificate. What else is he lying? Well, you told me that the Photoshop...
There's nothing that he said that is true.
Right?
Nothing.
Not a single word. So breaking news by CNS News, the federal government took in a record approximately 3,248,723,000,000 in taxes in the fiscal 2015. So apparently they've taken in $3.248 trillion in taxes, which ended on September 30th, according to the Treasury. That equaled approximately, are you ready? $21,000 per person in the entire country who had either a full-time or part-time job. It also is up to about $212 billion and constant 2015 dollars from the $3 trillion in revenue that Treasury. So they're also saying that they're running a deficit. They don't have enough money.
Well, how much more do they need to tax?
A whole lot more. They're saying $3.248 trillion ain't nearly enough. They're running a deficit of a couple trillion.
It's ridiculous. Did you hear about how Trump is running his campaign? He's like not really spending any money.
And Hillary spent 90% of everything she raised over the summer,
which is like
$20.
No, that's true. That's true. What about but like Jeb Bush, he's raised so much millions of dollars, it's unheard of. It's ridiculous.
Really?
Because he's got like 20 donors.
And one of them is major donor out of China.
There you go.
Wow.
They're all for it.
Okay, how much has Jeb raised?
He's actually typing this into Google right now, so we might have to play the theme to Jeopardy.
They're saying the Florida Governor Jeb Bush reported raising $103 million in the first 6 months.
And he's practically
of
broke.
This year.
Yeah, he's just totally broke.
So from January to June, $103 million.
Right, and it's a relatively few amount of donors.
Wow.
Very few. In fact, the argument now, the big debate is, so he raises all this money, but there's no support behind him. At the end of the day, you're going to have to show up on a ballot and have people vote for you. And it's just not there. I don't know why people are throwing dead money at him. I mean, it's just throwing dead money out there. You know what it's like? It's like putting money on James Buster Douglas against Mike Tyson.
Oh, dude.
Bad example because Buster Douglas ended up winning, but he was like an 18-1 underdog or something like that.
Okay, this is crazy, man. I'm not finding anything on Hillary over $45 million.
Oh, okay. No, that doesn't surprise me.
Okay, $45 million in her first quarter, and that's from Politico. $45 million first 3 months. Okay, so maybe if she stayed on track first 3 months, $45 million. She stayed on track, so maybe she hit $90 million.
Okay.
Out of $90 million, she only has $10 million left. Well, less than that. She has like $8 million left out of $90 million.
Yeah, but she has a lot of dirt on people. She's going to be able to fleece a lot of money out of a lot of important people.
Right.
Plus, there's a lot of supporters of Hillary who think she won the debate. In fact, the whole Joe Biden thing is on the rocks.
Wow.
The thing about the last debate was Hillary needs to have a stupendous performance, because if not, if she falls on her face in that debate, Joe Biden is coming.
Well, and Ben Carson, he is a newcomer. However, his first 3 months, he raised $20 million.
My dad sent him money when nobody knew who he was.
Wow.
Like 2 years ago or something. It was like a long time ago. And I think my dad even asked me, have you ever heard of this guy, Ben Carson? And I was like, I think the name rings a bell.
Right.
And so he showed me the picture, and I was like, oh, yeah, he's a doctor or something, right? But that's how long ago. Like, my dad was sending, like, we're not talking big money here. We're talking little amounts of money to Ben Carson. Well, I think a lot of people were thinking that, because when he speaks, conservatives and libertarians really like to hear what he has to say. And they'll send him a little $25 here or $10 there or whatever. The whole thing about Trump, and I was going to bring this up in the big debate, when it comes to the debate between, or the Trump versus Jeb controversy that we started the show with. Trump kind of irritated me bashing Bush, and he irritated me even more trying to bash him for going into Iraq, which we could go into a big, long thing. Let me just tell everybody listening this. Go to YouTube and search PragerU Iraq. Okay. PragerU is all one word. It's Dennis Prager's channel called Prager University, but the actual name of the channel is Prageru. That's the name of the channel. Go to that and search Iraq. So you can do PragerU Iraq. Watch that video. I actually wrote an article before that video was even made, spelling out almost exactly what they made in that video. In fact, it would not surprise me to find out that they read my article in Sick Bias about the... Seriously.
Right, sure.
It is like identical. When they made this video, I was like, my gosh, they totally ripped off my article I wrote in Sick Bias. And that's no joke. I wrote an article in Sick Bias about the case for Iraq. It's not about, Saddam attacked my daddy, so I'm going to get even. No.
Right, no, of course not.
I mean, I'm sure that that's something that bothers Bush, whatever. But the bottom line is we waited way too long to do something about Saddam anyway.
Of course, absolutely.
So the case has been made, and it has very little to do with weapons of mass destruction. In fact, the only reason weapons of mass destruction...
That was one of 18 different things, or something.
A whole bunch. There were a couple
list. There was a list, a laundry list, and the only thing that the liberals picked out were the weapons of mass destruction, were the MWMDs.
Yeah, their whole thing was you told us that the reason we're going in here and kicking Saddam out and installing a new government is because he's building weapons of mass destruction and he's going to use it on whoever he decides to use it on.
Well, he used sarin gas his own people.
And
mass graves.
Colin Powell made the case.
Colin?
Yeah. He did the big old presentation and all that kind of stuff. And that's definitely problematic. I don't think they should have went down that route. What they should have done was exactly in my article. But anyway, so Trump tried to bash the whole Iraq thing. Sure, in hindsight, we should have conducted that war differently. It should have been sold differently.
Right.
And that didn't happen, so I think those were mistakes. But it irritated me that he went down that road, and it was really pissing me off, and I feel like he was going into the bridge abutment. And I didn't want
he needs to guard himself from doing that.
Right.
Because if he stays on the path, there's a possibility he may run into one soon.
Well, the establishment is all about
putting up bridges as he's running,
yes,
to get in front of him to knock him out.
Right, and to pile on once he's wrecked into the bridge abutment. So, You know who Peter King is? He's a representative from New York.
Yeah, King.
He said it sounds like Trump's comments sound like Michael Moore talking points.
Oh, no, they didn't.
Yes, he said.
Wow.
Do you remember Ari Fleischer?
I do.
He's the former White House press secretary. And he said, does Trump also think that since Pearl Harbor happened on FDR's watch,
no, he didn't.
that FDR is responsible for... No, he did say that.
Well, I will say this. Conspiracy theorists out there. Conspiracy theorists out there say...
Okay, well, first of all, we know.
We needed to get into the war to save the economy.
No.
I'm just saying, this is what a conspiracy theory. It's just one.
I'm going to give you my conspiracy theory.
But it's just one. And they said the only way for FDR to really get us into the war was to let him get the American people fired up. Let them bomb us.
You're partly right.
Well, I'm not trying to be right at all. I'm just saying that was a conspiracy theory thrown out there.
But you're almost right.
No.
The truth is that FDR was a full-blown...
Oh, card carrying.
He was a Bernie Sanders communist.
Right.
He actually wrote a new Bill of Rights.
Right.
Yes. Right. And it was completely based on Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto.
How beautiful.
Exactly. So FDR, I believe that he got us into World War II in order to grow the government large enough to do the things, the puzzle pieces of communism, such as Social Security.
Right. Oh, yeah.
He needed to grow the government. That's the whole thing about communism. First, you got to get the government big enough, and then you got to use all the money and personnel that are in the government to implement the bureaucracies that are self-sustaining. And that's pretty much what FDR did. Now, the Pearl Harbor thing,
Yeah,
it's a shame, but
it is a shame.
My tinfoil hat's on, but
yikes. Well, there's a huge spike in government intervention during his reign.
Of course, he's a communist.
Yeah, no, not a doubt.
So that being said, no, I don't. Do I think he's responsible? Do I think that FDR called up.
They're saying that he had reports that the Japanese were coming to the West Coast.
Oh, right. So he would have known.
Yeah.
So in a way, it does kind of parallel 9/11, except for the fact that I truly do not believe that if Bush did really know, that he would have allowed it. But FDR, being the communist that he is, I do believe that not only did he allow it, but he baited them.
Ooh.
He put our entire fleet there.
Yes.
And said, ding, ling, ling, here it is.
You ain't got enough cojones.
I dare you.
Or whatever
I dare you.
Or whatever they say in Japanese, where they say, "Oh, sarayon chaka chaka."
I saw a T-shirt that says, when you catch fly with chopstick, you accomplish anything."
I like to cream guy.
Okay. That was from Wayne's World. We're always doing Wayne's World.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Oh, I was traumatized.
I'll have the cream of some young guy. Remember? They ordered out Chinese.
Right.
Another Wayne's World reference. Yeah.
Wow.
So we teach you guys about our jokes as they happen. Because we have to explain
This
it
is
sometimes.
the only place where explaining a joke is still just as funny as telling the joke.
I mean, you laughed just as hard when because you don't remember where it came from. You just threw it out there.
I had no idea. Oh, man.
I thought that you knew exactly where that came from.
I've been saying that for so long. I
have the cream of some young guy. Yeah. But actually, in the movie, wish we had the soundbite, but he goes, "I'll have the cream of some young guy." And then he pauses with a big grin on his face. And they're, they're trying to get the laugh.
Right.
So anyway. No, but here's the thing. So it doesn't sound good for Trump. It looks like he hit the bridge abutment. Carson was asked what he thought of it. Ben Carson. And he said, I didn't hear his remarks, but I'd be surprised if he said something like that, and I certainly don't agree with it, that George W. Bush would be responsible for it.
Well, and the way that he danced, Trump danced around it was, well, whether he did or he didn't, he was president.
Well, then he's in the subsequent things.
Right.
But here's my take on this whole controversy. We kind of went full circle back to this. But I wanted to put out my 2 cents, which is, I think that Trump, this whole thing with him attacking the Bush family and Jeb Bush, his brother, and just almost seemed like out of nowhere.
Right.
I think he's mad.
Oh, at the Bush family. The legacy, the dynasty.
No. Jeb in particular.
Okay, what'd Jebby do?
He sent that woman, that little 12-year-old girl, Lauren Batchelder, to his rally and said, "I don't think you're a fan of woman."
Oh, Jeb planted.
This woman's a feminazi.
And Jeb planted her.
And said, I think you're not a fan of woman. And I'm like, talk about being scripted. How do you mess up the script? She didn't say women. She said woman. I don't think you're a very good friend of woman. Because I want my choice to do what I want with my body. And that includes murdering as many babies as I can produce.
Okay, not to sidetrack that, but Debbie Wasserman Schultz this week, they posed that question to her and said, "What about your 2 kids?
What about them?
Do you agree that you had the choice? I mean, you should have, did you abort them, or, you know, you got
if
two,
you had, I
got 2." And she danced around and she said, no. I'm leaving them choice. Right choice, your body. It's the right choice. I chose my choice, and you choose your choice, my choice, and I choose a choice. Choice is a choice. My body choice. What about your 2 kids, though?
Well,
my
here,
choice, my
choice.
choice.
I'll do a better impersonation of her.
It's my choice. I chose to have the babies, and you could choose not to.
That's Jim Carrey in Living Color doing that woman bodybuilder.
Oh, what was her name? I can't remember her name.
I'd like to thank you all.
There was the woman bodybuilder, but there was also ugly Wanda.
Oh,
it was ugly Wanda.
Well, no, but she would do the. Oh, yeah, okay. No, but this is the woman that he would do.
Oh, that's I'm thinking. Ugly Wanda was the other guy, the guy that
Martin Lawrence.
No, not him. He never was on. He was in funny enough for that show. Okay. No, the guy that played Ray.
Oh, Jamie Foxx.
Yes, that was.
I want to give thanks to our Lord and Savior, Barack Obama.
What? Where do you come up with this stuff?
All right, we got a minute left, and I just want to touch on this real quick. Guns and the NRA. Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom of California, who is a card-carrying communist, along with Governor Jerry Brown. According to Associated Press, Newsom's proposal comes in response to national levels of gun violence. 3 people were killed in San Francisco. Must have been white because we didn't hear about them. So he said he's written a new initiative. It goes on the ballot for proposal. Here's what it is. 5 new things for gun laws. 1, magazines with a capacity of 11 or more rounds must be taken out of state and sold to licensed firearm dealer, given away to law enforcement for something given. No more than 11 rounds. 2, people in California be required to report any or lost stolen firearms to local law enforcement. Oh, okay.
Is that not already a law?
Yeah, I don't know why it would be. 3, when a person is added to the database of people prohibited from purchasing owning firearms, California Department of Justice will be required to inform the federal instant background check system. I'm all right with that one. The new process will develop for felons and other prohibited from owning firearms to give up their guns. Background checks will have to be done at point of sale for ammunition.
That's annoying.
Also, those selling ammunition will need an additional license to sell ammunition.
That's ridiculous. Okay, bye-bye, Second Amendment.
Yeah, so California, the NRA, Amy Hunter, said, California illustrates the true gun control agenda, which is the ultimate confiscation and banning of firearms. If Gavin Newsom gets his way, the state will be the next Australia. His ballot initiative proposal does nothing but prohibit access to the most effective methods for self-defense with no measurable effect on stopping crime or improving public safety. They can't repeal the Second Amendment, so they'll try to by chipping away at our rights until there's nothing left. Officials contacted Newsom's office, and he could not be reached for comment. Whew, that's it, folks. I think that's all.
Did we hit most of the stuff in our stack?
Yep.
We hit the most important stuff.
All right, folks, good night now. We are all over the place for you. Follow us everywhere, Twitter, Facebook, smithradio.com. It's just, you know it, iHeartRadio.smithradio.com.
Like us, favorite us, follow us, all of the above, every week, Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time.
We are all over the place for you.
See you guys.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom. Wow.